And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the TokuTitanCast. I am your host, Bill.
Titan Goji, Nerd Cage in the land before time. J. St. G here attempting to drop another kaiju rhyme. We more powerful than Ganon the Swine, but let's take things to another level. Godzilla is the most powerful nuclear devil. TokuTitanCast coming at you fast as we here to blow up this kaiju joint as we gather here together to discuss Godzilla singular point. Let's go.
All right. I'm loving it.
Yeah, buddy.
We also got Nick, aka Subtle Prime's Chin.
Hey, God damn it, Jay. How am I supposed to top that? Hi.
There we go.
Yep.
And we also have Sean from Shots of Japanese Cinema.
Kendo fight for a right.
and for the first time on TokuTitanCast, we have Blue Nova.
Hello, everybody. It's Blue Nova.
And another first-timer on TokuTitanCast, we have Matt Burkett from Monstrosities, a vlog of Tokusatsu, reading his books as usual.
Oh, hi! Didn't see you there. Thanks for inviting me, Titan.
No problem. And last but not least, we have the robot man himself, Mr. Kaiju Noir, a.k.a. Andres Perez.
Punch, punch, punch!
Punch, punch, punch!
But hey, by the way, Matt, Gundam.
Wow, look at you.
See, you can't do anything about it now, huh?
Keep flexing, Sean. Keep flexing.
However-
By the way, for those who don't know, Sean just turned 24 yesterday. Everybody in the chat wish that man a happy birthday.
And Sean, you don't look a day over 14.
just ask Akira Takarada. He knows what's up.
He's like, congratulations, you graduated from looking like a 13-year-old to a 14-year-old. Look, he's calm down.
You looking. I got nothing. I can't make a joke. I fail.
You stay quiet, Sean.
Alrighty, so once again, we're here. We're about to talk about Godzilla Singular Point. It's been airing weekly on Netflix over in Japan, and it just came out worldwide. If that is correct,
Yep.
like this past weekend, or well, I guess it's still the weekend technically, but
June
yeah.
24th.
Let's go around and talk and share our initial thoughts, starting with you, Andres.
Okay, initial thoughts on Singular Point, the anime itself.
Yes.
Okay.
And before we go on, we're gonna do a non-spoiler segment, and then we'll go into spoilers when we all feel we're ready to do that.
Okay, good point there. So, overall, I highly dug Singular Point. I was certainly very intrigued when the trailers and the concept art initially came out, and it looked to be something that was hopefully a breath of fresh air after, just for the most part, having mostly just the anime trilogy and the MonsterVerse material to go off of. And I feel like this was definitely sort of like the shot in the arm I needed personally to really feel invested in Godzilla, since like a lot of the stuff that's come out prior had either been disappointing or I just felt like more like typical Hollywood blockbuster stuff. And nothing wrong with any of that, with that kind of stuff. But for me, I was just kind of growing tired with it. But this one here it felt like it pulled out all the stops in order to create something very unique, very engaging, very interesting, very thought-provoking, and overall just damn good fun.
All right, Sean, let's hear it.
I think it stinks. Screw the Godzilla franchise. No, I'm kidding.
No more. I am sick of Godzilla. He's right.
I freaking love Godzilla Singular Point. I adore the show. And honestly, initially, I didn't know what to think going off of the concept art and trailers, before it was released. But I figured, after GVK, how can it be any worse? So I gave it a shot, and I adore Godzilla Singular Point. I think it's fun. I think it's engaging, and honestly, this is the type of Godzilla anime I always wanted to see, and I am so happy it finally exists. And I've seen it twice now, and this is definitely a high point in the franchise, and I would say the best Godzilla content since Shin Godzilla.
Alrighty, let's hear Blue Nova.
Alrighty. I think with Shin, with the Earth trilogy, and with SP, we have the most consistently good period of this franchise since the mid 60s, when Honda was leaving and Fukuda was still in chair. Well, just coming into chair with Sea Monster and Son of Godzilla. It's great to get well-written media from Godzilla. I loved Jet Jaguar. They turned him from a meme into a legitimately compelling character. Anguirus looks the best that he ever has. Yeah. I would put him top tier design there. The characters, I love them. I think they made great use of an ensemble cast and kept the characters involved the whole time while still providing stellar action on the monster front.
All right, Matt, let's hear it.
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it.
How dare you?
That's your
have an
robotis,
opinion.
your robotis,
I'm a
roboticism
Right,
showing
right.
through. We're gonna
Wow.
cancel you, Matt,
Anti
for everything you've said against
Wow,
robot
you guys
kind.
are so. I forgot what I'm coming into. You know, you guys are so
Anti-mechanisms.
sensitive whenever your mecha are like, you know, like kind of like made fun of or poked at. I'm sorry. I can see myself out. But before I do that, let me just say SP is probably one of my favorite things. Period. I have to agree with Blue Nova what he was saying about just the consistency of the Reiwa era. Really fantastic stuff. I consistently loved every week watching it drop, it being the episodes. Had no idea where the story was going to go. And I have not felt that way about a piece of media in a very long time. So it was really fun to be able to experience that. It was very fun to experience it with other people, you know, have weekly discussions about it and just, you know, have something to look forward to, you know, and technically speaking, not trying to get into spoilers, but we might still have more to look forward to yet. So, you know, bring it on.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
it.
All right, Nick.
Hey. All right. Yeah, I loved it. I've seen it twice so far. And like initially, like I didn't know what to think of it when we were getting the trailers and the concept art, because there was just seemed to be so many ideas going on that I just didn't know what to think. And then like that especially kind of rang true on my first viewing, because you know the science is kind of complicated and such. But and then when I rewatched it again, I was like even more appreciation for it. Like it's very cool. Some really great monster designs and character designs. Some great music. The action is really, really cool actually when it comes up. And I'm trying to think about anything else without going into specifics. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I loved it.
All right, Jay.
Oh man. Of course I had to go last. So everybody, especially you, Sean, in my humble opinion, you overhyped it. But I liked it. I did like it. I didn't love it. I liked it.
You're a fake fan. Get out of here.
Why do
Hey,
you
listen, this is not an
Big
echo
fan.
chamber. We're not going to jerk each other off. You're gonna hear some different opinions here.
Wait.
Then what did I come here for?
Davis, you told me this was an echo chamber. This is
Wait,
why
wait.
I came.
Jay, why are you singling me out, Jay? Why me?
Because you and SCRYE were the ones that kept sending me the DMs like, "Oh boy, wait till you see this episode." Oh boy. Like, and I'm just like, and then you're like, "Jason, what do you think?" And I'm like, "It was all right."
And Jay wonders why I won't watch the
Walkers,
boys
here,
on
okay, so
Amazon.
in a summary, okay, I enjoyed it. I listen. I binged it all on Netflix. I avoided all the spoilers. I avoided the VPN. I just wait. I didn't want to wait every week for it to drop. I binged it at my own pace. I pulled an all-nighter. I saved myself for it, and I will say, like I said, I enjoyed it. But there are some very odd creative choices throughout. It didn't take me out of it. It didn't take me like, oh my God, like screw this. I don't like, no, there were some odd creative choices, some questionable things that they did, but overall I liked it. And this is someone who hates and despises the anime trilogy. I liked it. I'm not going to recommend it to everybody. I think it's a certain flavor of Godzilla. It's not like your typical Godzilla. It's something different. If you want to try something different, I say go for it. Again, I liked it.
Alrighty. So as for my thoughts on Godzilla Singular Point, I absolutely loved it. I would go as far as to say that it is the Godzilla anime I've always wanted. And I'm honestly looking forward to seeing more. I really liked how there was this very interesting blend of science and religion. I also really, really liked the human cast. The monsters were just incredible. I thought everything about this show was done very, very well. So, before we continue on, I'm just going to look in the live chat here and see who we got. We got Spider's Prime, Zillapunk, Godzilla King of Kaiju, Martin Caspary Smith, Steven Walker, M. Florgo, Vapor Dreams, Warrior King Forever. Let's see. Oh, Shay Smithers in the chat.
Valerie.
We
got Valerie.
Hey, we got
y'all
Valerie
beautiful
in the
for
chat.
being here. Y'all beautiful for being here.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. And I should also mention that now that I have the StreamYard upgrade, things are definitely looking a lot, spicier with the whole background and everything. And also, this is the first time TokuTitanCast is streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube all simultaneously. Not the first time on YouTube, but the first time on Facebook and Twitch. All right, so
one more thing. There's one character, Yun, right? There's a certain character from TokuTitanCast that resembles Yun, Cole, Godzilla Gamer 77. I'm sorry, I can't unsee it. Help me up on this, Shark. Somebody.
He's even got the same expression.
Yes.
Expression.
The hair and the glasses. Cole, you are here.
Jet Jaguar.
I'm like, yo, this dude reminds me of Cole.
Oh, and he's a Jet Jaguar fanatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Cole's spirit animal.
All right, so and I think going off of that, I think this is a perfect segue to pretty much talk about the characters in the show. We'll go ahead and work our way backwards again, starting with Andres.
Okay. I definitely thought this was a very interesting take on these characters. They kind of pulled a sort of disaster film type of scenario where you're looking at various characters around the world on a global scale, something that I feel like would work perfectly in the animation format because as great as Godzilla films can be, I feel like they're always limited by their production. Given that it is a Japanese production, they can't really show off how massive or how big the scale is for their stories. And yet, in the realm of animation, they were able to have so many diverse characters of various backgrounds, occupations, nationalities, personalities. And each of them brought something very interesting to the table. The people have complained that these characters are not very well developed, but I feel like they were developed for the type of story that they were trying to tell in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like a slice of life story where you're going to see these characters' day-to-day routines. This is not that kind of story, so we're not going to get that kind of personal information from them. But in this situation, we get to see these characters interact, and we get subtle peeks into their personalities, into their different ways of thinking, and through their interactions with each other, the smallest of actions, their clothing, their designs, so many little hints that provide you a good enough glimpse to let you know who these characters are, what they stand for, and what their contributions to the overall plot is. And especially goes for the two, I would guess you could say, dual protagonists of Mei and Yoon, where both characters are. I found it very interesting that you have both characters that their paths seemingly cross multiple times only for them to, for the most part, never actually meet one another face to face. And I thought that was a very interesting creative decision there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it's very I don't mean to interrupt, but it's very
No
Guy
problem.
Ritchie-esque, if you ask me.
So I would say that there are certain characters that I would love to see more of. Again, I want to know more of what their story is. But a lot of because this is such a big story, such a wide cast, and only 12 episodes to tell this story, I feel like a lot of this could easily be rectified in a potential second season, which this series is definitely leaning towards. So I do hope to get more out of this cast in the future. But for now, for what we have for season 1, I thought was thoroughly had a very thoroughly engaging cast.
All right, Sean, let's hear it.
I love the human cast in this show. Honestly, I think the human cast is one of the show's strong points. I think they're well written. I think they have a ton of personality. And I think their chemistry, more than anything, is fantastic. The way they all work off one another and all their different reactions to everything that is transpiring in the show is really, really well done. And I also have to agree with Andres. I like that because now it's an animation, it's able to do so much more that let's face it, the budgets of some of the Godzilla movies had restricted them from doing. So we do get a variety of types of characters, some in high positions, some are just ordinary citizens thrown into this catastrophe. In terms of like the standouts, I love May. May is a great, quirky main character, and honestly, probably one of the more relatable characters in the show, considering, she's just your average, college student, literally thrown into a world of uncertainty. And, that can be really, really frightening, and above all, can just be utterly insane. And I love Yoon. I think Yoon is a great character. And also, the Jet Jaguar team, I like to call them, are filled with so much personality. You got the old man. You've got the wonderful, buffed out. Was it Haruma?
Habaru.
Haberu.
Habaru. You got Habaru,
Barbell.
who is Barbella. And I also really love BB. I think BB is a really underrated character in the show, and I love his very almost dry reactions to some of this downright frightening shit that's happening sometimes in the show. He's just like, "Oh, I guess we can't do anything now. I guess this is the end." Like, I love
Sean, Sean, come to think of it, you kind of look like a younger version of BB.
let me age my face. Let me not go outside for a whole month, and let me not sleep for probably hours upon hours. But also, I thought the AIs were great. We'll go more into them a little bit later. And without going into spoilers, I love the mystery surrounding a certain character in this show. I'll leave it at that for now.
Yep, which we will get to.
Long story short, though, I adore the human cast. This is one of the best human casts in the entire Godzilla franchise, in my opinion.
All right, Blue.
Oh, hi. So
oh, hi, Blue.
yeah, what Sean was saying. These are some of the better characters we've seen ever in a Godzilla movie, show, whatever type of media we're talking about. I think what helps a lot is that, one, the story is very well written, which you don't get a lot of in Godzilla media, especially some of the more modern entries. And then that the characters stay involved throughout the whole thing. Like, they're always engaged in the drama. I know some people have been complaining about the characters not being deep enough, but as Kaiju Noir was saying, we know enough about them. We get to see their reactions to what's happening. That tells us plenty about their characters, but it's not a character-driven story. It's more of a plot-driven story. We're trying to solve this mystery, and these characters are taking us through that journey. And I think we get enough of them for them to leave a good impression. And I like them a lot. Like, we learn a lot about May without having to see what she ate for dinner or who her boyfriend is or yada yada yada. We see that she's a bit aloof, she's a bit clumsy. Obviously she's smart, walking around wearing infinity shirts and being a graduate student. But but no, I feel like I've got enough of them. Like I don't see. I'm left with a bunch of question marks with the people who have been bashing these characters, because I'm trying to figure out what other Godzilla characters they're judging them against. Because like with some of the 90s films, I feel like they struggle to keep them involved the whole time. Like they would set up something potentially interesting and then run out of things for the characters to do around the 30-minute, 40-minute mark. So you're left with a bunch of kaiju action.
If I could just say one thing, Blue Nova, interesting you bring that up. A lot of people that don't like the characters in the show are, interestingly enough, comparing it to the characters in the MonsterVerse, I notice. Which is a little
2014.
weird.
I would say 2014, no competition really, except for like Sarazawa. Not Sarazawa, Bryan Cranston character. What's his name?
Ford.
Joe Brody.
No,
Joe.
that's his
Joe
name.
Brody.
Joe.
Yeah,
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was Ford Brody.
Yeah.
Joe
Sorry.
Schmo.
Like Joe was a compelling character, but he died way too soon.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really replaced with anyone who had much to do. I felt like a lot of what Ford did was contrived. Sarazawa just like stood around and stared at things. Every once in a while said something vaguely interesting. But this is not about MV, this is about SP. Yeah, the characters were fun. We don't see a lot of their personalities, but again, the drama, the story, they're trying to solve the mystery, stop the end of the world, was enough to keep me involved with their quest. And I love them.
All right, Matt.
You know, there was so much good points that the other three guys brought up. I can't really expand much upon it, but I would like to point out again, you know, to address the criticism that, like, you know, they don't have a lot of personality or whatever. They're exposition dumps. I can understand that, but as Andre said, you can tell a lot by just their surroundings. You know, their living quarters, the clothes that they wear, the things that they own. As Blue Nova said, this is a story driven about plot. It's not 12 Angry Men. It's not Forrest Gump. And neither is any other Godzilla movie that's out there. So like Blue Nova, I also have to question, what are you comparing it to? For me personally, absolutely adore the cast. Would love to have gotten to know the cast even a bit more. You know, we got to see like Satomi, the goth chick from, you know, the Otaku Factory. Such an interesting look to her, you know, didn't really get to know her. But that's one of the things I really like about the show, is that all the designs are just so uniquely vivid, rich, and diverse, you know. BB is probably my favorite character. I love him and his daughter Rena. Like, I can't wait to see them kind of like what happens with that. And BB is really intriguing on an odd level, you know. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he somewhere in between? You know, but it's good stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, your audio kind of like
It
it was
got
a
a
little
little
drowned
fuzzy
out a
there.
little.
You were going underwater for some reason.
I was going underwater. Well, that was
All right,
weird.
sound better now.
You said good now. You're good now.
Okay, characters are good.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Nick.
Okay. All right. I really love the characters in Singular Point. I think that's funny how people complain about them like not being developed enough or not having enough personality. I think that was one of my, like, a very minor worry of mine was that when I first saw the designs, I thought they were going to be a bit too personality-ish. Like, I was originally kind of like, I don't know, I imagined that Satomi, for example, the goth chick, was going to be like, man, I want to die like every 2 seconds. But she really wasn't like that at all. Or really, it's like it all comes down to just very minor, like, blinking you'll miss it moments. Like, I love the fact that Habaru's picture on the Otaki Factory website is him with his shirt off and he's flexing.
Or his reaction to when Rodan gets its name, Radio Wave Kaiju Rodan.
Yeah. That's what makes it so great too, is that I love everybody's own unique reactions to everything that happens. Like, BB, like for example, is absolutely fantastic. Like honestly, I laugh every single time we first meet him and he's walking into the big cavern, but he's just kind of like, yeah, the elevator is kind of broken, so we're gonna have to use the stairs. Sorry. And that's another one. I love how
We're kind of going into the depths of hell right now. You see.
Yeah, you see, it's kind of like a big shopping mall. It's like, or what was that scene with his daughter where it's like, I'm only gonna wait for you for like 100 years. Can you make it 10,000?
Yeah, it was interesting to see a Godzilla project quoting Dante's Inferno and the Book of Revelation and William Blake and Walt Whitman.
Yeah, I remember like when I heard her saying "Tiger, Tiger" in the night, I was like, "Hey, I know that thing."
Now I've become Death, the destroyer of worlds. They say that in the show.
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Like, I love all the characters. BB and Mei and Habaru are probably my personal favorites.
All right, Jay.
Okay, so this is actually one aspect of the whole entire show that I liked a lot. The characters are great. The just exactly what Andres said. I think there's enough there. They don't need to go too much. I think there's enough there, and it carries the whole series. And I like how they're all unique. They're not bland. They're all unique. They're completely different from one another. I have to say my favorite. Now, forgive me. I'm bad with names. With the old man, Mr. O, right?
Yeah.
That's my dude. That's my dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's obscure. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna whip their ass. Come here, come back here, you stinking tight. I loved it. By the way, I watched the Japanese subtitle. I did not watch no English sub. I love that character. And then forgive me, I'm also still bad with names. That the evil old lady there. She was like Amanda Waller.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you guys, I don't know how familiar people are with DC Comics, but Amanda Waller, the Suicide Squad. We had a character like that. I'm just like, all right.
Tilda.
Yeah, Tilda. She is kind of like an Amanda Waller character.
Yes.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I thought when I was like, all right. So there's, like I said, they're all likable in their own way. Like you root for them, even though there's some that you hate, but there's some that you root for. Anyway, it's I think it's the main strength of the show is the characters, and I'm happy that we got a character focused story. Something we haven't gotten in a while. So yes, it was refreshing. I enjoyed, and I liked it a lot.
All right, so I definitely agree with you there. The characters are definitely the heart and soul of the series, and pretty much what everyone has already said up to this point. Again, not to beat a dead horse, people complain that they're not developed enough, but they are developed just enough for a story like this. We see how every character reacts and respond to this sort of like grand disaster that is happening before them, or building up and then happening before them. And again, you know exactly what every character is about, like just through these very like subtle bits and pieces. It's not very in your face about it, like Yoon, for example. I mean, he's very calm, has this tired look on his face, and then you have Habaru, buff guy, can do, will do attitude. Goro, crazy old man, crazy enough to build a giant robot.
It's Andres.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to grow up to become. I hope I can become half the man he is in my twilight years.
And you can have two younger assistants that you can boss around all day.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, speaking of Yoon, since you brought him up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Continue, Blue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it just me, or when he was explaining the footprints of gears, was that meant to be an explanation for the old suit acting method used to bring gears to life? How there was more weight on the front feet and less weight on the back feet, and the back feet were kind of like he walked on his toes?
You know,
Yeah, I thought
that-
that was a reference when I saw that episode. Like, like it's got to be like a month or ago at this point. But yeah, I thought the same thing. That the fact that it had two different kinds of footprints, I thought that was a callback to the fact that the Anguirus suit actor would have to walk on its knees or walk in a very awkward position.
it's funny you mention that, Blue, because there is so much subtle attention to details in the show, so I would not put it past the writers of the show if that was an intentional nod to the suit acting of Anguirus in the Showa era.
But
Okay,
yeah,
I'm just curious.
anyways.
Maybe I'm overthinking this.
No, it's all right. Anyways, what were you going to say, Davis?
But yeah, basically just to wrap up my thoughts on the characters, it's basically what you guys have said. They're very interesting. They have all these little like quirks about them that really make them stand out from one another. They have lots of personality without showing too much personality, and it's really just amazing that we do have an entry in the Godzilla series that is so heavily focused on each of the characters to this extent. Granted, it's been done before in films like Shin Godzilla, but I feel like the fact that it's that this is like a 13 episode series, it really takes advantage of that, and because that it pretty much goes back to what I said earlier, where the characters are basically the heart and soul of the series.
May I just say you're the biggest simp for Harbera? I've seen your Twitter.
Haberu.
You're the biggest simp for Harberu. I've seen your Twitter, dude.
Look,
That's a spirit animal, John.
Yeah, okay. If there's one fictional character I'd absolutely love to grab a workout with, it is Haberu.
I would say it's very refreshing to have like a guy have a character in fiction who likes to work out, who isn't like the dumb, dense, like thick-headed jock type personality.
Like David.
I especially love the bit where they're trying to lure out Anguirus, and he's like doing curls with a dumbbell.
That's great.
He's still got to pump the iron to take on the kaiju.
I should also mention that Otake Factory also produces supplements. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that's for pre-workout, post-workout. That creatine, glutamine, casein, all that good stuff.
There's literally a scene where he's doing lift ups at one point.
It's like, hey, Haberu, they're here for you. 63.
And he's doing the chin ups. It's like 121, 122, 123.
I think basically what's great about, if I could say one more thing about this cast, it basically, what made the cast, it kind of took what made the cast in Shin Godzilla so great and amplified it even more, because now you have an even more diverse background of characters, all of which, some are in a very high hierarchy and some are just regular citizens, which is, I think, great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate it's different like world building, because the Showa era is a certain world where you get these silly advanced weapons, and then the Heisei was just the obviously the future, before, after post Biollante, I'm saying the future weapons. This was a whole other unique world that they built, a whole entirely scientifically geeky, different take on the Godzilla franchise. Appreciate that.
Look at Warrior King Forever's comment on Haberu.
Haberu isn't just an employee; he's a happy customer. oh, Laura's in the chat. Hi, Laura.
Hey.
Hey. Yep.
So about the Review Roulette podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because Singular Point, they say it takes place in 2030, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was gonna say there are those little bits of futuristic tech, for one, at the very first episode with the little lanterns flying up, but they're drones.
Yes, I love that.
And I remember when we first see Pellets 2 in his own little mobile body thing. When I was I didn't notice this the first time I was watching, but when I was rewatching it, in that same scene, you could see two other people with one of those, and I'm just oh, that's a general device you can just buy, and she bought that for him. I thought that was something she made at first, but no, and I was that's pretty cool.
Oh wow, I never noticed that.
Yeah,
or even the robot body, the little robot body that falls around May.
Yeah.
We were talking about that just
Yeah,
now.
that's what,
Oh, that one.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's what I was referring to.
Oh, okay.
Also, someone from the Monstrosities Discord server pointed out that the little antenna on top of it is Zone Fighter's little antenna there. So that's a really cool nod, honestly. Now, speaking of which, there are lots of like deep cuts and references like in the show to
Oh,
not just other Godzilla movies, but other Toho science fiction films. Like there are callbacks. The Mysterians. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Or maybe even
Mysterians.
like
there's a nod to 1 million years BC with the iconic poster of what's the actress's name?
Raquel Welch.
Yeah, I did catch that.
Beast from
I was about to say that.
Oh, go ahead, say it then.
No, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, the very thing that inspired Godzilla to an extent.
There's even references, without going into too much detail, the end credits is just basically a giant Easter egg.
Exactly.
A smorgasbord of references.
From like, you literally have so many, this isn't spoilers if we can mention the Easter eggs in the credits, right?
I mean, since it is the end credits, we'll save it for later.
Okay, I'll save it for later, but like, there is subtle little details. Even two characters during one episode that were clearly a reference to the Mothra twins, because those two characters are twins.
Oh yeah.
And
also, Astounding Beyond Belief on Twitter pointed this out. One of the signs on the building, or actually, there are 3 signs that reference the company from Mothra versus Godzilla, the pharmaceutical company from King Kong versus Godzilla, and the red bamboo from Godzilla versus the Sea Monster.
Yeah.
And the references are not just limited to the Japanese Godzilla movies. There is a little bit of appreciation for American Godzilla as well.
Oh, yeah.
Also, some real world shit was in it too. I mean, I don't want COVID. There's kind of like a COVID reference, sort of.
Kind of,
because they're talking about people around the world getting sick and they're wearing their masks and so on and so forth. So,
and Matt, you kind of brought this up. What's interesting about Singular Point? I believe you mentioned this in your live streams. How a lot of real world stuff is very eerily accurately portrayed in Singular Point, especially with the current state of the world right now.
It'd be interesting to know kind of when because they did have to halt production for at least a little while. Like if that halt actually did affect them putting in more of that, you know what I mean? But it also might be a really strange coincidence, because the idea of just Godzilla and red dust, that image, that idea was conceived very early on. So almost eerily prophetic, in a lot of ways. And it definitely works. It's very powerful.
And even
this is where I want to jump in.
Go ahead.
Who's it going to be? You or me?
No, we just gave it to you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go.
Talk, damn it!
Gosh. Let me. So one thing I like about SP is that it focused on the real world some, like the impact that giant monsters have on everyone else, the economic costs, food shortages. You don't get a lot of that in giant monster media, at least Godzilla media. Off the top of my head, the original film, GMK, Hedorah, Shin. But it's nice to see that the monsters are having an effect on people and their lives are being drastically changed.
Yeah, nice little touch when they're showing like the news stations, and they're showing different newscasts, different news anchors, different opinions, and this and that. It was to add to what you said. It was a nice touch that they did in this throughout the series.
I even love that I love that they parody. There's clearly a font on one of the news stations at one point that's clearly parodying Fox News. I love that.
Oh yeah,
that was a great little subtle humorous detail.
So we talked a little bit about the world building. How do you guys feel about like the whole like this sort of combination of like science and religion going on in Singular Point.
Blue, you go first, and then I'll. Blue.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Hi. Science.
Hello.
Forget your own name.
Hello
was having a daydream. Anyway,
Hey, boss.
science and religion. I like that they tied Godzilla back into mythology again. That's something that the original film did, and something I don't think that's brought up a lot. How in the first film, how they get the name Godzilla from the people of Odo Island who sacrificed, is it virgin girls or just young girls, to Godzilla every year for, I guess, peace or a good harvest or something.
Yeah, I forget what it was actually.
Shin briefly touched on that, and Odo Island was referenced in '84, and GMK, we see the island again, but otherwise you don't get a lot of that, and I thought that angle to Godzilla was pretty cool. So the prophecy from May's hometown, when the apocalyptic monster emerges from the Red Sea, yada yada yada, I thought that was pretty neat. And the destroyer of worlds quote from Hindu scripture, what was a nice touch as well. And Godzilla being the, I guess, kind of the beast of Revelation a bit, since Revelations mentions red water well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
It made Godzilla to be a very nightmarish threat, and I like that a lot.
All right, Sean.
I loved it. I thought it was a great balance. I thought not only do I find the science like really well integrated, it was a perfect balance of kind of being the out there science fiction of the Showa era, but having a little bit of a grounded reality feel to it as well, which is something I appreciated. And the way it ties into religion, I thought was really well integrated, especially with Godzilla himself, which we'll go into more later, and how the references to Hindu scriptures I absolutely love. Even biblical references to Buddhism, Christianity, like this is all used. And what's great is that it's not used in a heavy-handed way. Like it's done in a very this kind of reminds me of the way Hikaider balances real-world themes with religious themes, and I think similarly Singular Point does it so well. And honestly, I think it helps making the monsters 10 times more frightening in this universe, because there is kind of a doomsday feel to everything that's going on in the show. And I thought the religious themes and the science were balanced out beautifully in this show.
All right, Matt.
You know, I'm gonna be a little weird. It didn't really swing me one way or the other. I thought it was interesting, you know, but I don't really have a strong opinion about it too much. Some of the science stuff I thought got a little bit too heavy for its own good, but apparently that's Toe Enjo's style.
He says, "Don't worry about it." He says, "Don't worry about it" in an interview.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Have you guys read Self-Reference Engine yet? Like I just picked that up the other day. I've yet to read into it, but just flipping through it, I'm just like, holy crap, this looks like Ashihara's notes.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh no, I mean it's interesting. It's interesting. Like I'm sorry, I don't really have kind of a profound thing to say about it. I just don't think it was wasn't something that swayed me one way or the other. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the inclusion of it, you know, but it wasn't anything that I was like completely overwhelmed by or just like completely overly impressed by, honestly. Even
okay,
though I loved the show.
Matt, do you think the show was too tame in terms of casualties?
No, I think, you know, what I enjoyed was the fact that I don't think that it didn't go out there with a message in mind. You know, it went out there just to kind of tell an action story, basically. You know, it wasn't trying to be like, oh, and here's the message at the end of the story, you know, like we get in every other Godzilla movie and piece of media that's out there. It just wasn't something that you know, it was there, you know, and if you wanted to analyze it, you could, or if you just wanted to pass it by, you could pass it by. You could enjoy the story no matter what, you know. So the other thing that's kind of nice about it is the fact that they did try to write that in mind with, you know, they didn't write it with a heavy-handed message in mind, you know. But if you want to analyze it and look at the religious stuff, cool. You know, for me personally, I just doesn't really interest me too much.
I gotcha. All right, Andres.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like with Matt here. Like the idea of science and religion wasn't exactly what came to mind as I was watching the series from week to week. I will say that a lot of the visuals seem to have taken a lot of heavy inspiration from these sort of like biblical end of days type of apocalyptic scenarios that have been present in various cultures, mythologies, religions, what have you. And the use of the color red, it gives off very sort of like visuals of a hellish like environment. That I could easily have seen that potentially being like again more inspiration for the overall look and feel and tone of the series. I'm not sure if there's any sort of profound sort of religious message stating religious message being stated by the creators, because I feel like this is more like potentially an Evangelion type of situation where it's all simply a lot of the religious visuals are simply there for visual flavor.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, totally.
But in terms of like the science, yeah, they definitely this was like Toe Enjo, as he was writing the story, definitely wanted to just like flex his brain muscles, if you could say, just to essentially just he's like was given like the chance to just go wild on his theoretical quantum physics concepts, and so that was the part that I thought was pretty intriguing in terms of having a very scientifically dense approach to a Godzilla story, for better or for worse. I do agree with Matt that it does get a little bit overindulgent at points, to the point where you have these characters that are expositing so much scientific exposition, scientific information, and in terms of like trying to explain the mechanics of how this world works, essentially, that it can get a little bit overwhelming for the average viewer, myself included. And so that is something that's certainly going to it's going to be like sort of like a take it or leave it sort of deal when you're watching. For anyone watching the series, either you can look past that and embrace it, or for other people it's just too much and they'll pass on the series. It's one of those things where it's like definitely not, this approach is not for everyone. It did took me a while, a good by episode 3 I was like, okay, I think I can get behind this, and I pretty much did for the rest of the series. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that subject matter.
Toe Enjo, when he was writing this series, I'm smart, you're dumb, you're big, I'm big, you're little, I'm right, you're wrong.
I don't think so, really. I think this is just sure, but I think this is just a guy who just wants to. It's essentially, it's one of like the basics of writing any story. Just write what you know. This guy clearly knows a lot about what he had studied all his life as an actual legit physicist, and he's like, you know what? I like physics. I like stories. I'm gonna try to do both.
Technobabble.
Yeah, Technobabble. So it's like, I'm going to write to my strengths.
Orthogonal diagonalizer.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into later.
Sure.
Right.
All right, Nick.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was really cool. I mean, for one, Evangelion and Devilman are my two favorite like anime manga properties of all time. So, sci-fi and religion going together is just kind of my jam in general. And I did think it was really cool. Like, I thought that was a nice detail with how they mentioned like the Red Sea and how it's depicted in different religions and cultures. It kind of gave me that idea of like the cataclysm, the catastrophe, I mean, was like this big event that was like known the world over in some way and was just interpreted differently by these different cultures. But there's like, it's just so interesting how there's like simultaneously like a mythical and a scientific explanation for it, like at the same time. It is true. It's definitely not the approach for everybody. Like, speaking from experience, if my dad watched this, he probably wouldn't like it because he's much more into the straight up like cheesy monster action. But my mom would probably love it because she really likes that kind of like slow, sort of like intelligent, for lack of a better term, sort of like storytelling. But in general, I'm very like fluid with that sort of thing. I like pretty much everything. And for this, especially, like, I thought it worked great. It intrigued me a lot. And it makes me want to know more, really. And that's one of my favorite things that a story can do, is if I finish it and I still want to know more, then that's awesome.
All right, Jay, let's hear it.
Sorry, I'm just giggling because of the activity in the chat right now because Cole's in
Cole.
the chat.
Hey,
He says,
Cole.
"Get her,"
He looks a lot like Yun.
and he says, "Get her," and he says, "Get her, Robo sucks."
You are wrong, Cole. Robo arc airs next week, by the way. I'm looking forward to that. But
Was it really?
Yep.
Also, before I get to my point about the science and religious thing, Laura had an interesting question in the chat. She was asking about is it better to watch week by week or is it binge it? Binge it.
Binge. Either or.
I was gonna say,
Matt's got something else to say.
yeah,
Weekly was something really special. It was something really, really special.
Yeah.
And
That's fair. Yeah.
it
Yeah,
I
was,
can go with either or.
it
Either or was
it was
good
an
for me.
experience that I
I don't
kind
know.
of wish that we all
It's-
could have, because I kind of feel like it was kind of a community thing for everybody on social media. You know, I mean, for everyone to come together. Oh my God, did you see what happened in episode 3? I mean, yeah, I know. Like, you know, what do you think's going to be like? It was a really good time, you know?
I experienced it weekly, and then I binged it when it was on Netflix, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it both ways. I think it's good either or, personally.
yeah.
But I feel like due to the amount of like sciencey stuff in there, you're definitely going to want to space it out a little because you're not going to get it all in one go, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
will-
I felt like, listen, I love the fact that I waited. I love the fact that I binged it because any TV, not just this, any show, I hate waiting because the anticipation kills me. So it's just
Let's have
sometimes
the
it's
fun,
nice
Jay.
to watch
It's the
it when you
anticipation.
want to watch it. I get to dictate when or when I want to watch it, you know?
Professor
if I need to take a
Jason
break,
G
if I
up
need,
in
if I
here.
need to take a poop
Yeah.
and piss break, I will. If I want to grab something to eat, I will. If I need to rewatch it an episode again because I may have missed something, I will.
Basically,
Anyway, I didn't want again. I avoided all your spoiler streams. I avoided all. I waited. I'm glad I did.
Basically, what Jay's saying, he's an impatient man.
I am very impatient. I hate people if I'm at the fast food and at the drive-thru and they're taking forever. I honk my goddamn horn. Okay, that's the kind of guy I am.
Are you
Like,
serious?
Just
Are you
saying.
serious?
What's you're gonna pull up? Don't you? Ain't you gonna know what you're gonna get? I mean, come
Have
on.
you ever
man.
honked your horn at a TV show?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, oh my
Okay.
god, like, you know.
All the
Anywho.
time.
Okay, but I was gonna say that I've binged it. Well, like I said, I've seen it twice. I watched it both ways. I watched it weekly when it was airing in Japan and binged it once it came out in the US. And really, again, it's up to personal preference there. I can say now that it's probably going to be a little bit harder to watch it weekly if it's all out and you have to put that restriction on yourself. I would say that probably, in general, the best option would be to maybe...
That's when you feel like it.
Yeah, just when you feel like it, sort of like maybe like watch a couple episodes a day. That might be a good way to go about it. If that, just whatever pace you're comfortable with, really. Like if you feel like you could do it all in this one sitting, go right ahead. But if not, then space it out over a few days.
Sorry, hold on, Sean. I was actually going to bring up something that's akin to that. That's a thing that I've noticed a lot of Godzilla fans have been doing. From what I've gathered on social media, is just everyone seems to be watching it in like 3 or 4 a batch of 3 or 4 episodes at a time. So I think that might be like, you know, somewhere like in the middle, you know, like one day you watch like a third or a fourth of the show and continue to follow that pattern after a while. So it's like you get enough of the action, enough of the exposition to take a break from it, process it all, and then you're ready to come back and say, all right, what you got to offer next?
Yeah. Well, you gotta understand, it's something special about I had it marked on my calendar. Like, okay, this is the day Singular Point finally drops. I'm gonna get all this out of the way so I can just be laser focused and take it all in. And I did, and I'm happy that I did. I really am, because I probably would have been like pulling my hair out between each week, because every, they all end on some kind of like cliffhanger. I would have been pulling my hair out, and I don't need to.
Jay, that's why I have no hair on my head anymore.
So that's all. I'm just saying, like, please understand from my point of view, it was totally.
I cannot afford to lose my hair.
Worth it. Anyway, so now, so real quick about the whole science and religion thing. I will agree with Matt and Andres a little bit here. There is a lot to take in with that science stuff. So here's the beauty about that. So now I have an excuse. I'm not going to do it anytime soon. When I'm ready, I have a legit excuse to go back and watch it again. Okay, all right, go in knowing that I've seen everything. Let me just see if I can just take in all the sciencey stuff that I may have missed or may have misunderstood or something, So yeah, I will say there was a lot that science that dropped. It didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of it. It was like, oh wow, this whole lot. People weren't kidding. There was a lot of science in here. So, but I liked it. It was different from what I'm used to in a typical Godzilla. Something that the MonsterVerse did not do any of that. Now, there's the religious stuff here. I loved it. You know why? Because again, y'all said it. It brings a very doomsday apocalyptic feeling, that we haven't had. I mean, yeah, you can kind of throw in Shin Godzilla, but like the MonsterVerse, it was like, oh, let's be Godzilla's pet. Let's just deal with them. They didn't make Godzilla a threat. That remember 2014 before the movie came out, Godzilla Begins, the world ends. Well, guess what? Singular Point definitely, gave me that feeling of Godzilla Begins and the world may end.
But Jay. 8 people died in Florida in Godzilla vs. Kong. That's pretty apocalyptic.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna go there, but yeah, it's just. But anyway, I like that they managed to, and that's kind of a beauty of a 13 episode thing. Unlike cramming crap into 3 crappy animated movies, that they were able to tell a whole story through 13 episodes, and they. Managed to fit in the science and managed to fit in the religion, and there was a build-up. This world building had a great build-up in the end. So, yeah, I enjoyed it for what it is, and like I said, I'm looking forward to rewatching it again. Again, probably not right away because again, it's 13 episodes, like 5-6 hours long. But when I'm ready, I'll go back to it. So that's the thing. So there's rewatchability here. So, and I can't say that for a lot of other movies that have come out in the past 20 years. So,
well, I mean, easy for you to say, Jay, because you've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League twice, more than twice, actually.
3 times.
Serious? Are you serious?
Yeah, I watched it.
Good, John.
I watched that when it dropped. I watched it to get ready for another stream, and then I had the watch party.
I'm gonna slightly one up you. I've seen it 3 times.
All right.
Anyways.
Anyway. All you guys basically said it best. Like the way they blend science, religion, mythology, and folklore, like all into this like huge 13 episode narrative. It was very unique. It never got boring. It was always interesting. Sure, it may have been a bit confusing at times, and it's obviously there to give it some more flair, but it definitely adds some more weight to like the stakes of the story. I mean, going back to what Jay was saying about how Godzilla genuinely felt like a huge threat in the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I also watched it weekly, and then I binged the English dub, and going back to that real quick, I feel like that spacing out is definitely like the best way to experience it, because like the whole science and mythical elements in the show, they definitely go Not up to 11, but I'd say up to 12, 15.
To quote BB, make it 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000.
Over 10,000.
Yeah. But yeah, like both times, I was totally invested in it. I'd love to see more Godzilla stories like this, where they do bring in this like doomsday element to it with some mythological, religious, and scientific aspects to it.
Absolutely. And Blue, there's one thing I just want to briefly touch upon. And Blue, you kind of mentioned this earlier when we were talking about this. You asked if you thought the casualties were a little light in the show. Blue
Yes.
Nova.
You hear me?
I would say no,
We hear you.
because we hear you. I would say no to that, Blue Nova, because there's a lot of implied death in the show off screen, and a lot of it is through dialogue, and we see the aftermath of a lot of this. A good example being a sinking boat or a creature following a submarine, and we never see the submarine again. So I would argue there is a ton of implied casualties. And, when the Rodans are appearing more and more, the list of missing person cases keep rising more and more. So I would argue the show pretty much hints that there's a ton of implied casualties in the show.
I suppose it's trying to follow that rule of it's what you don't see that makes it all the more terrifying, especially when you have a very prominent character death in the series that is never directly shown on screen, but there's still a lot of dramatic weight behind the loss of that character. I also want to say Warrior King Forever in the comments also brought this up, where he said, I do wish they had shown more of the monsters directly harming people rather than cutting away or only showing building destruction. I believe the point of that was it's perhaps potentially due to modern television censorship laws. Like, if anyone here has watched, just off the top of my head, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, they censor the hell out of that series, which has a lot of gruesome violence in there, lots of censorship, like practically every episode, and that's mainly because in Japan there's just a lot of stuff that you can't do on television. And I like to think, and there are certain animes that do go one of both routes. Either they have a show that avoids that type of violence, or there's shows that do make that type of violence, but then they make it like obviously censored in the television cut, and then have it completely uncensored for the home release cut. So I'm sure, like with Singular Point, they didn't, perhaps this was like maybe an executive decision or creative decision, but they probably decided, let's not go the censored route. Let's just make something as that is acceptable by Japanese television standards, and then just take that and put it up on Netflix.
I didn't realize that was a factor, but that was one of the creative things I really hated about this was the cutaways. It did bother me a lot, but we'll get to that later.
Well, Blue Nova, how did you feel about it being more implied casualties than a lot of shown on-screen casualties?
I guess the moment that stood out the most is the two fishermen when the swarm of Manda overturned their boat, and then they mentioned that they still managed to save them. I was like, it's kind of hard to believe, but I'll take it.
But the submarine being followed by a certain creature, they said it's still missing, and none of the survivors have been found. So that's heavily implied. But like, Matt, how did you feel about more of the casualties being implied than shown on screen?
When death did enter the story, even amongst the cast, and it's just, and that's not really a spoiler, it's just going to happen, guys. It was powerful stuff. It was really just like, oh damn, so I didn't need 54 levels of death and destruction. Personally, I think it worked well with what it did, and I think that for dramatic effect, when it was brought to the forefront, it was very much brought to the forefront.
Completely agree. I
think there's a particular scene that probably stands out as maybe among my favorite of the series, just because of what it does. And again, it's the implication of death. You don't see something, directly happen. It's just, in my personal opinion, a very beautiful scene. And in a weird way, and I don't usually get this way with Godzilla stuff, it kind of touched me in just strangely. I don't know why. But it was just a scene I was just like, this was actually really well done, in my opinion.
And adding to that, Matt, I'd say that it's definitely a series where you are rooting for the characters to survive and overcome this great threat. So when death comes into the picture, it definitely hits.
I think you and I both had a heart attack in episode 13, Davis, if you know who I'm talking about.
I'm still recovering from that. I still have trauma from that, man.
Okay, so
I had to pause it. I had to have a moment.
I would say, though, that the violence in the show, if I could just talk about the violence, I loved how it was handled. And I would say the violence in this show is pretty on par with, I would say, the violence in the Millennium series. If you know, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with me, because the Millennium series did something very similar. And like, there's
especially GMK.
Especially GMK, but there's also the opening sequence in GXMG, and there's a certain scene in Singular Point that is very similar, I would say, to the Mega Nula attack scene in Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, where it's more off-screen, and what is implied is way more horrific than what you're seeing. And we definitely get that, I think, beautifully in Singular Point.
GMK is decently violent. I think GMK is one of the only 2 times that Godzilla directly targets people during one of his rampage. The first being 54 and the second being GMK.
Interestingly, Godzilla, and this isn't really a spoiler, you mentioned that Godzilla targets things in the show when he feels directly threatened. Very similar to Godzilla in Shin Godzilla. Like, he normally will personally attack something if he feels threatened, or
Like the American planes.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's Shin Godzilla, and I don't know if you guys noticed that detail as well. That he personally in this show, he seems to go after more things that he feels threatened by, rather than just aimlessly causing. Oh, you don't agree, Matt? Oh,
I was nodding my head at something else. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I mean, did you think that? Like, did you notice that he seemed to only personally go after things in the show when he felt threatened, like directly?
Yeah, and that was something that I had a mild issue with. There's a moment in episode 13 in particular that I was kind of just questioning a little bit. But it wasn't something that bothered me overall, But I do agree with you. Like, Godzilla was interesting in here. I think there's still a lot more that we need to unpack with that character, because I still not quite sure if I can fully comprehend the character that was presented here still, But,
we'll get to that. We will get to that.
I just want to say real quick, Rainy is in the chat. Hi, Rainy.
Rainy!
all the way from Australia.
I didn't want to bring up a comment of hers that she left. She said many shows have a censored and uncensored version. Also depends on what time it airs and what channel. Since it's only on Netflix, guess they went the cautious route. Actually, Rainy, it was on Japanese television, and I'm not sure. According to the poster, apparently it came out at around 10:30 p.m. on Japanese TV. But again, you could be right that they could be going the cautious route and just not wanting to deal with having 2 versions, an uncensored and censored version, and just wanting to have one version that they can have like universally on all platforms.
It's funny you say that, because the official rating on Netflix for the show is TV 14.
Yeah.
Which I would say is about accurate. I would say this, I would say if you were to give this like an American rating, I would say that the show is pretty much a PG-13, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even if, like, besides like the violence per se, like all the signs,
it's essentially like
not going to be able to digest all of that,
Oh, I'll make him digest it.
I was going to say we're
if they're gonna put all this science, they're obviously targeting an older demographic. Like I felt like it should have been more violent. I'm a very dark twisted person. That's just
Are you judging the Jimmy Neutrons that watch the show? Are you judging the youngsters that happen to be geniuses? Like, come on, Jay. What about me? I'm 14. I went to college.
Young children.
See, so I'm guessing again, this could also be just a creative choice where perhaps the people behind the series are just not fans of that level of violence. Much like Ishiro Honda. Ishiro Honda, he was never never wanted to portray human death. He always wanted to avoid bloodshed. It wasn't until after he was off the series that Godzilla finally started bleeding in the 70s films. So again, this could be just these type of people. You're like, if you get like someone like Go Nagai involved, he's gonna throw blood and gore and sex all over the series.
Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like as Valerie was mentioning, the creator of Attack on Titan. There's tons. Those creators definitely they revel in violence. It's most likely that the people behind this particular show are just they like action, but they don't like violence. And
can I add me just real quick to that? Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Takahashi did recently come out. The director, it was either in the Anime Times or there was Anime News Network, but he did say that the monsters, they wanted to avoid them having crushing buildings and stuff because they would imagine animals would try to do that. Of course, if they get in the way, if it happens, it happens, right?
Yeah. Which happens a few times in the show.
But I think that they were, trying to be pretty cognizant of what they were doing, in terms of the violence and stuff. And the show doesn't. I mean, sorry, Andres, and now I'm just getting into opinions, but the show doesn't need violence. That's the thing.
Yeah.
For me personally, I agree.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's funny you mentioned that, Matt, and then Jay, I'll let you go. I promise. It's funny you mentioned that, Matt, because the most violent scenes that happen in the show, ironically, is when Godzilla's fighting another creature. When he's fighting another creature, realistically, the show does get a little more violent, and you actually do see bloodshed a few times, realistically speaking, because if an animal feels threatened, it's going to stand its ground. If a bear gets pissed off by poachers, it's going to stand its ground.
Well, Jaguar's fight scenes were pretty violent. Pretty intense at times.
I was going to say, are we forgetting what Jet Jaguar did to that flock of Rodans?
And the spiders.
Or the Kamungas.
We'll get more into that.
But it's funny you mentioned that, man, because I think that's what's so cool about it is Godzilla gets a little more violent when he's fighting another animal, just like how other animals in real life, if they feel pissed off by another animal, they're going to fight back. Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, it's not that. Listen, I would prefer it to be more violent, but that's not the issue. The lack of violence is not the issue. The main gripe I have, one of my main gripes with the overall series, again, this is why I like it. I don't love it. Is there were, and I'm not talking about the cliffhangers. I just feel like there was a tad bit too much cutaways. I just thought it was a very odd creative decision because we only got so much action, and just when it was getting all right, let's go, and then cuts away. Just like that dumb bullshit that 2014 did. So I did have a problem with that. That's just one thing. I'm glad. I hated that creative decision.
I think it was way better here, though, Jay, than it was in 2014.
Yes, I agree. That I can agree to, but still, just because it's not as bad as that one, still doesn't mean it's still frustrating. It's still frustrating.
Jay, I wish I could give you a high five for saying that about G14. So I'll just have to give you
I don't listen, Matt. I don't like the cutaways in G14. I hate the cutaways in 14.
Yeah. Well, it's worse than 2014, but they still did it in single.
No. I get what you're saying.
More than once, and it was frustrating.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I definitely understand that. Personally, I think it didn't really bother me in Singular Point like it did in 2014 because even with the cuts in Singular Point, I still saw everything that I wanted to see. I never felt like I was missing anything. But with 2014, it felt like they're deliberately cutting out stuff that's okay, this is going to happen next, and then it doesn't. But with Singular Point, it's you could argue that maybe they did that sometimes, especially with the submarine disappearing. But personally, that didn't really bother me. For one, even going back to
I love
the
the
whole-
celebrities disappearing.
Yeah, I was going back to the whole thing with like the level of violence. Like, I mean, like I said, I've very fluid taste. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Devilman, which is like super violent. I love cosmic horror. I'm a huge fan of. Recently, I've been getting into like a lot of zombie stuff in general, but
Hey,
in
Scry.
general,
Hey, Scry.
Hey, Scry. But
Oh, shucks.
in reference to like the lack of
What's up,
violence
Adam?
in Singular Point, I think it comes back to like what makes cosmic horror and at times even the best zombie stories like scaries, the stuff that you don't know, where you can only really make the implication as to what exactly happened here. Like, even if there is a dead body you see, you're just like, well, what exactly happened to it? Really, we don't know. And personally, that's just something that frightens me. So personally, even if there's not as much bloodshed, what we do see is something that personally makes my skin crawl.
Absolutely.
I guess the reason the question came up is because this show deals with the end of the world, and I was wondering if you guys felt like it successfully conveyed that feeling.
I think it did.
I think it did.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Beautifully.
And okay, so I kind of want to segue this into spoilers if you guys are comfortable with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
An
Yeah,
hour and
sure.
15 minutes.
All right,
I
so
love it. Love it. The red
Hey.
testicles.
Everyone dies. Everyone,
Right?
everyone dies. In the
yeah. So
King Kong scratches his ass in one scene.
yes.
We're gonna go down the list like we were before, right?
Yeah, so so to those watching, we're about to go into spoiler territory, so feel free to take advantage of this and either like mute or click away.
Run for your lives.
Just get out of here, you stupid dumb animal!
Oh, I'm blocked. Dude, come on. All right. We need to
so,
All right.
Unblock him. Unblock him, man.
No, that's fine. I can
uh,
chill down a little bit. There we go.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man. Game over.
I'm going to sit like this the rest of the night. It's all good.
Damn you!
Okay.
Damn you all to hell!
Jay, now you know how I feel. Now you feel shorter. Now you know how I feel on a daily basis, suffering from dwarfism. Thanks, Godzilla versus Mothra 92.
Yeah. We've really been talking a lot of aspects that sort of surround the final episode, and I really want to talk about that final episode, honestly, especially that end credit stinger. So yeah, let's basically all go around and talk about like some of the fights as well as that like finale where just everything like it's like everything's about to like go wrong, like everything's about to go down the shitter, pardon my language, but yeah, let's start off with Blue Nova.
All right, so that fight scene between Jet Jaguar and Godzilla is one of my favorite fights in the entire series. It was emotional. Jet Jaguar was giving it his all, punching Godzilla. He gets half his face blown off. He stepped in at just the right time to save Yoon. Like, the fights don't last a long time usually, but I feel like the quality definitely makes up for the quantity.
If I could add to that, Blue Nova, it also like part of that also has to do with Jet Jaguar's development as a character. It's like as the series goes on, the AI within Jet Jaguar starts to gain like it's like it goes from being just artificial intelligence to actually gaining some sort of sentience, if you want to call it that.
It's becoming human. It starts calling Yoon his mama.
Yeah, especially how like what like once that comes into play, like near the end of the series, Jaguar talks more like an infant because he's technically in his infancy as a character.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Yeah, that fight scene and then Jet Jaguar, like there was a huge sense of relief once the battle was over, and we see Yoon and just finally we did it. Day is saved. It was so close to, and then seeing may smile. She doesn't smile a lot in the series. Kind of like the computer chick from Shin Godzilla. How at the very end she finally breaks a smile. It's great. I feel like the 12 episodes before built up pretty well to that, and then at the end we finally got a payoff. But the fight scenes in general were great. Jet Jaguar fighting Anguirus and shooting him in the face with a gun was something.
Badass.
That was brutal.
Point blank.
Anger's always gets it rough, even in the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point blank. Broad daylight.
And one of his spikes gets used as like a spear for Jet Jaguar.
Yeah, and then
love
Jet Jaguar takes
I
that
love
spear and he chops off a Rodan head with it.
Yeah,
And
he
slices
does.
and dices some Kamaguas, and
He slices Godzilla in the back.
does he? I'm drawing a blank there.
Yeah. When he flies, when him and
Yeah, he's
Moon
been blown
fly
away.
Godzilla, he drags down
Yeah,
Shadow the Colossus style, drags down the spike, the spear on Godzilla's back, and it leaves a clear slash on Godzilla's back.
Sounds awesome. I will have to rewatch that. But
I
yeah,
loved
the fight scenes in the show are great. Like I think the Reiwa era in general has brought great action to the table. The military fights in Shin Godzilla, I liked how they were so focused on strategy. They're like, yeah, shoot Godzilla in his eyes, shoot him in places where he is more likely to be injured, so we can bring him down before he crosses this threshold. The military drones being brought in and collapsing buildings on Godzilla and Shin, I love that as well. The trains blowing up.
Even though they look awful. I'm sorry. I adore Shin Godzilla. Those trains, man, though. Oof.
Yeah.
And then I know some of you would disagree, but I thought the Vulture and hover bike scenes in the anime trilogy were great. They could do things with speed and composition that most Godzilla media up to that point couldn't. So I totally think those deserve credit. And then in here with Jet Jaguar gets most of the action scenes, and it's great.
Now, what did you think about the after credits scene, which we can pretty much spoil now?
Yes.
So basically a Mechagodzilla 3, except with the design of classic Mechagodzilla from the Showa series.
Exactly, the classic design. Oh, sorry, it's just refreshing to finally see which is my favorite, by the way. My favorite design has always been the 74.
So what does that mean for Godzilla then? Where did he go?
Well, we'll kind of all go around and give our own theories. What do you think happened to him?
I can't wait
wondering
for all
if
the theory videos to start popping up on the YouTubes. You know, those guys know what they're talking about. You know,
What
I
happened
have
to
a theory.
Godzilla at the end of Singular Point?
I have a theory that Godzilla Ultima ended up in the Monsterverse.
I think the big,
Oh
Yeah,
my
ended up in the
gosh.
Hollow Earth.
That's going to
but
happen.
Blue Nova, I guess my question is to you. What do you think happened to Godzilla? And secondly,
Did he go to the Monsterverse?
Oh my gosh. That's going to happen. Oh my gosh.
no. My other question, Ashihara.
How many toes does he have?
Nick, did he get
So
rid of his ring
I'm
finger?
questioning. I'm questioning.
Maybe. Ooh.
So at the end, Ashihara had a quite sinister smile on his face. So I'm wondering if he's the villain and stopping Godzilla was actually a mistake.
it's Dr. Mifune, man. I'm telling you,
Oh yeah.
they're pulling a Terror of Mecha G on us.
But what do you think happened before I go? What do you think happened to Godzilla though, Blue? Like his demise, quote unquote. What do you think happened to him?
That some matter exists in our in some place, and I guess to explain more of that if there's a second season.
Okay.
Hopefully we get a second season.
I think if we keep the show trending, I think we will get a second season.
I'm just saying we never got a second Shin Godzilla, so I'm not gonna get my hopes up. But if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna I don't want to lose sleep over it.
Well, I mean, there, in all fairness, there was never meant to be a second Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, Shin was meant to end on that little teaser, cliffhanger. I mean, I guess before I go into that, my overall thoughts on the finale episode. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great finale. I will say the pacing was a little interesting in the finale because it did move a little fast, and you could definitely tell that some parts were a little, I hate to say it, were a little rushed, especially the Deus Ex Machina move, essentially with Jet Jaguar getting big, because Jet Jaguar, the majority of the series is pretty small, but then at the last minute, he grows up to the exact size as Godzilla. That being said, though, I felt the emotion of the characters. I was so invested. I was in it with them. I wanted them to survive. I love the action. The animation was top notch. I love, not enough people talk about this. I love when, okay, what's May's AI's name again? What's
Pedo
Hellos
2.
too.
Hello too.
Pello 2. I love Pello building the little ship back together. He goes inside of it as he or she.
I think it's a he.
When he goes
Or
inside,
it's
Well-
I don't
well-
know. It's an AI.
Well, to be fair,
when Phillips, is how you say it?
Pedo. Pedo.
When Pedro 2 goes inside, he sees Ashihara, who's just chilling in there. I love that bit. And how he's just kind of just like, what is that? Why do I hear this music? What's going on? I don't know why. I love that little surreal moment. The fight with Godzilla and Jet Jaguar, oh my god. I legit got choked up watching that fight because we'll get more into it. Jet Jaguar is such an amazing character in the show. And that fight, even though short, had so much emotional weight. It was brutal. Half of his face gets blown off by Godzilla. Also, Godzilla's rampage in this episode is terrifying when he takes out all the Rodans and then he pretty much like breathes fire, is a Tom breath into the sky, which had such a religious imagery feel to it and MonsterVerse reference. The Mega Nua's on his back. I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the ending I thought was very effectively bittersweet because, spoiler alert, Jet Jaguar dies, Godzilla dies, or I think
Or is
Godzilla.
he?
I think this Godzilla might be dead. I think what happened to him. I think when the OD was used on him, I think it exploded him into a bunch of scientific atoms, which is what those blue crystals are supposed to be. But I love
There
the
could be
bit-
more than one, so
Yeah, exactly. Well,
If
there.
OD has taught us anything, is that you can't keep a good kaiju down with it. Just ask
No.
Saranga.
Oh, we'll get
Oh
this.
yeah.
Saranga in this episode is a beast.
Or Shauranga, if you want to be a real nerd about it, because Shauranga is the bow of Vishnu in Hinduism.
Or
The bit-
Saranga,
No.
if you're going to go by the CG World English title.
Like the one where the bit where Saranga is swinging down onto Shiva Tarzan style, that was great.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not Sharanga, guys. It's Gabra. I don't care what Toho says.
Paragon.
Close enough. Close enough. I love the bit at the end when there's kind of shut up, Andres.
oh god.
I love the bit at the end when May and Yoon finally meet, and not only I love May's smile, I love Yoon's smile because Yoon is kind of has a stoic expression throughout most of the show. When he cracks a smile, there's something so endearing about that. I love that bit. The music, by the way, was phenomenal. In this episode.
Yes.
We will go more into the music when I assume we're going to talk about the soundtrack at one point, Davis.
Oh
We
yeah.
need to. We need to.
The music was phenomenal in this episode.
Yes.
So I thought it was a little rushed, but a very good finale. And then that end credits scene. Mechagodzilla. First off, they give a reason why okay. At one point in the show, there is a dead Godzilla skeleton underneath
Mhm.
that is literally taken, and they use that skeleton, a la Kiryu, to make a new Mechagodzilla. And lo and behold, who's alive? Ashihara. And let's just say, I don't like that look on your face, Ashihara. That is a look that reeks of deviancy and suspicion. So either Ashihara is going to either be basically Dr. Mifune in the second season, Or maybe, if anyone here has seen, have any of you guys seen George A. Romero's Day of the Dead?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have it.
Been a while.
Maybe Ashihara will be kind of like the doctor in Day of the Dead, who is all about, we can rehabilitate the zombies and maybe do something good, but at the same time he's a little cuckoo. What if Ashihara wants Mechagodzilla as almost like a marketing tool of saying like, look what science is capable of, kind of, but still have a craziness to him. Maybe be an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Which,
go ahead.
So,
but all that being said, I thought it was a very solid finale. And like you, Blue Nova, I have to agree the action scenes, I guess we're going to talk about the action later on, but the action scenes in the show are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to add to Mechagodzilla real quick that what's really interesting is like every single monster we've seen, even Godzilla has a radically different design. But Mechagodzilla, they gave him a classic from what I could see, a classic 1974 design. I just thought it was an interesting choice that they didn't deviate. Like every other monster is drastically deviated differently, but not Mechagodzilla.
No, I'm going to disagree with you, Jay, because I think it's a healthy blend of both the 74 design, but also Kiru, because I got major...
It was, I know it's like, yeah, like Kiru, because it's made out of the skeleton, but the look, it's got the 74 look to a very distinct 1974 look.
By the way, did you notice that the people working on Mechagodzilla were wearing Mysterian's outfits?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
why is no one talking about?
I'm telling you guys, it's an alien invasion.
Why is no one talking about Mogira? Mogira.
Oh yeah, the Mogira references throughout this.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
The character has Mogira on their phone. I love that. I guess, Matt, what was your opinions on the finale and teaser at the end?
I was really worried that it wasn't going to stick the landing. I am so used to so many TV shows, just it's all build, and then once it finally comes time to ante up, to lay all your cards on the table, they flop miserably, and then they make some kind of lame creative excuse as to why. Well, it was the journey was important. The payoff wasn't anything. Whatever.
The friendship was important.
It stuck the landing, and I was really surprised by that. And even more so was the fact, again, the potential promise that there's going to be more down the line. This show is one filled with moments. There's a lot of real creative genius in how to stylistically build a dramatic situation, and this episode was filled with it. The series overall is filled with it, but this one in particular had it. They go on Godzilla's back, they find the mega neurons, a reference that is kind of out of nowhere, but makes complete and total sense given that situation. It just adds a little extra layer of something. I love that. And the music, everything. It blended together really nicely, and I was very happy with the final episode, because I was really worried there for a little while,
Hey, Matt, because you mentioned building tension, I think a great example besides the final episode would be, I think, episode 4, the one where the fighter takes off to go fight the Rodan swarm approaching Japan.
Totally.
And like as they prepare to take off, you hear the AI talking back and forth, kind of the same conversation they had in the first episode, and then just the music building up to fighter taking off, and then seeing a Rodan, and then seeing all the Rodans coming at him was a great moment.
Episode 12, the last 3 minutes of that with the song going off. And
definitely.
Heading
amazing
off into the great red catastrophe. My God, the imagery is just is we're talking about the Bible earlier. It's epicness of biblical proportions. No, I really, like I said, I enjoyed the finale. As for the ending, I enjoyed it. I definitely have some ideas about it. I really don't think the Mysterians is just something to just toss in there. I don't even think necessarily going back to the 74 design is just like, because Jay, like you bring it up, like what's interesting about that to me is the fact that one, most of the designs that we've had since 74 don't look necessarily like 74. Like there might be shades of it, but not necessarily. But also the thing with 74, the one thing that and 75, the one thing that it has above all the other Mechagodzillas is that it was created by aliens, right?
Yeah.
And I really feel like
Wait a minute.
you know,
Wait a minute.
little hint as to what may be coming down the line. I think Ashihara probably ended up in his, you know, research on this weird dimensional archetype stuff, might have come across some other parties, you know, and maybe their motivations aligned a little bit here. Regardless, I greatly anticipate, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, that something's going to be, you know, coming up, whether it be a movie, whether it be season 2. I know most people, this fandom operates on the idea, the notion that, you know, oh, we got to support this now because we don't know if we're going to get more later. But I do need to point out, I got to stress that, like, this show is in production for 4 years, and Toho has a plan for this stuff. You know, Toho has a plan for this stuff, and whatever, like, there's going to be something else coming. We don't know what it is, and of course, yes, it's going to be. I think the success of this show is really going to determine a lot on some spectrum. But I really do feel like we're going to be seeing more of these characters. This isn't going away anytime soon.
Hey, Matt, I think you forgot about the anime trilogy where the aliens built Mechagodzilla in that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it was like a joint production between humanity and the aliens.
No, I think it was.
Years.
I think it was all aliens because they promised that they would get rid of the threat for us, but they couldn't get their Mechagodzilla to work.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So for my thoughts, I was definitely on board for the series, and I remember in the episodes leading up to the finale, the pacing did start to slow down a lot. And I was still cautiously optimistic about them being able to stick the landing. I know, talking to my peers, like, you know, you guys here, you've all were who had been following with the series week to week, have also shown your concerns. And I definitely saw where you guys were coming from. And yeah, if anything, I would say that the finale, it did stick the landing. It did provide a satisfying conclusion that it does not wrap everything up, but I'm really glad that it was like an open ending. It left the door open for potential stories to be told in this universe. Even if we never get a season 2, I do like that kind of ending where it's like where like this is like the one story ends and another story, more stories leaves it. Sorry, one door closes, but like more opens for more potential stories down the line. Even if you never see them, it's always fun to like imagine what else could happen in this universe.
So what didn't get wrapped up that you felt or you would have wanted to see get explained? Or
definitely everything involving the Godzilla skeleton, which I'm glad that we had somewhat of a resolution slash teaser involving Mechagodzilla. But the fact is that they had teased that skeleton since episode 1, and it essentially did not factor at all within this entire season.
Wasn't it the source of the music?
I don't think so. They did mention that Jet Jaguar was the source of that music from the future, who had sent it to the past in sort of like a time loop sort of deal.
Because at some point you see wires attached to the skeleton, and I think they said
right. But here's the thing: they never delve into that. We don't know what's up with the wires or the skeleton, or where the skeleton even came from, or like how it's connected to any of this. We just don't. Another thing would also be Salunga / Gabra, whatever. He pretty much is just there as an obstacle for May and her team to have to overcome. But unfortunately, this creature is simply there, gets impaled by spikes, shows up again, impaled by more spikes, shows up one last time in an admittedly very cool and exciting situation, only to be impaled once more by blue spikes this time.
But he keeps
going. Or as I like to call him, BB's bitch.
But yeah, I was hoping that Salunga would factor in more into the plot, or would at least get something else to do other than show up and get impaled by spikes. But again, his whole deal, his whole reasoning for being there, his whole motivation for wanting to destroy this machine is never dealt with at all. So those are like the two major plot points that I felt. Also the giant black Rodan. We had no idea where that. It just showed up out of nowhere. And I thought, are other monsters evolving? Because they mentioned that Anguirus was growing at a fast rate. So I thought, is this just another kaiju that was growing akin to Anguirus and Ultima? But again,
and it wanted to stand up, and it wanted to try and stand up against Godzilla.
Potentially, yeah, and much like the Mondas earlier, and they mentioned that its body went missing, so maybe the Black Rodan is still out there, but we don't know. It's never addressed. But the fact that if this was meant to be a definitive ending, I would have been disappointed that so many of these loose ends were not tied up. But the fact that it is an open ending, I'm willing to give this a pass. Again, even if we'd never get a season 2, I can at least they made it clear that this is a universe with more stories to tell in the future. As for the actual finale itself, I did highly enjoy it. I think that it was very exciting. The how Jet Jaguar ended up getting big, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. As far as I know, you guys can correct me on this.
By his determination.
Apparently Pero 2 went to the future. Somehow in the future, Jet Jaguar was also there and combined with Jet Jaguar's AI. And then at some point in the distant future, they advanced to where they were able to make a giant Jet Jaguar body and then time travel to the past and then switch places with present day Jet Jaguar with future Jet Jaguar Ultraman style.
So if you recall,
one second, Blue Nova. Andres, you've seen Gurren Lagann. Jet Jaguar grew larger because of manliness.
This is the drill that will pierce the heavens.
But, and Andres, it's funny you mentioned evolution. The Mandas start evolving because at one point, one of the Mandas flies and actually tries to fight Godzilla in a nice.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that they never explained at all in the series.
Which was a great reference though to the deleted scene of Destroy All Monsters though.
Yeah, I feel like it was really meant to be a callback to that than anything, considering how many deep references there are in this series.
But they don't explain why he starts flying.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I always thought
maybe he had some of that that Peter Pan pixie dust,
or maybe it's supposed to be a reference to Reptilicus. I don't know.
or maybe it could be interpreted that he was wrapping around Godzilla. That maybe he was just wrapping around him.
So he was just kind of flopping around like a fish.
Well, they refer to the Mandas as giant snakes. In my mind, I always picture Manda's a Chinese dragon, and in some mythology, dragons fly. So, just a thought.
That poor Manda gets his head blown clean off.
Yeah.
Pretty early into the show to get back to work.
Real quick, Kaimo. What's up, Kaimo? He says maybe Manda was swimming in the red dust.
Oh.
Okay.
But
Dustin, my God.
But to get back,
as Jay St. G would say, it's the tits.
My man.
To get back to what Kaiju Noir was saying, earlier in the show, Ewan was working on a code to make Jet Jaguar invincible. If you recall.
Right.
He sent that to May, and he told her to figure it out for him. So they were working on that through the show.
Computer code creates a larger body,
I guess.
Either way, I could care less about as much as I would like to know exactly what happened. The fact of the matter is we got giant fucking Jet Jaguar in the most holy shit. This is the most amazing scene ever. This is honestly the most amazing thing that they've done with Jet Jaguar since Godzilla Rulers of Earth, Volume 3, where Jet Jaguar pilots Mechagodzilla to fight Destroya. I had the exact same reaction back in 2015 that I do here, where I was pulling a Davis. I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's fucking go!"
And not only that, Andres, but it's a great fight scene, despite how short it is.
Yeah, it is. It's I remember Matt, you put it wonderfully when you mentioned how these did not need to be long, drawn out slugfests, where these are fights that are there. They're short yet they're very impactful. They get the job done in and out. I was like left really satisfied and also really not heartbroken, but I definitely shed a tear for my boy JJ with his ultimate sacrifice in order to take care of Godzilla as to what happened to Godzilla. JJPP.
And so with JJ gone, do you think they'll rebuild him in a second season, or do you think they'll have a new monster, like a Mogira, for example?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
always.
Yes.
That's my answer to
bring him
everything.
back. I think he was the highlight.
That's my answer to everything, because who fucking knows, man?
More speculative.
I understand. I'm just joking.
Depends how many of the toys sell. If there's a lot of Jaguar toys that Singular Point that sell, they're like, okay, I think we need to bring them back, rebuild them.
As for what happened to Godzilla, I will say I like Rainey's explanation. He died on his way back to his home planet.
I have to go now.
Space Godzilla.
My planet needs me. Okay, so real quick, I know Matt and Blue Nova have to leave here in a bit. I just want to say, guys, it was awesome getting to have you two on here for the first time on the show, and again, thank you guys very much for taking time out of your days to be on here. And before you guys leave, would you guys like to share your final thoughts on Singular Point, plug your stuff in, and make way?
You can go first, Blue. Or maybe I'll go first if Blue Nova, do you want to go first?
Blue's
muted.
Red, green.
Blue, you're muted. Green. Okay, well, I'll go.
I was having connection issues. That's why I disappeared for a bit. But
do you want to go ahead and go?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. Singular Point for me is one of the best pieces of Godzilla media to come out in quite some time. I've enjoyed it a lot. I've enjoyed learning about it a lot. Very much excited to see kind of like where things go from here. I hope that people will continue to give it a chance. I hope people continue to kind of mull over it and, really kind of dive into it a little bit more and really determine if the science is as techno-babbly as I think it might be, or if it actually does make some degree of sense, which I also suspect that is indeed the case. We're definitely going to be covering it more over on Monstrosities. We got a couple of videos already lined up.
Please check them out.
And what's that?
I was telling the audience to please check y'all out.
Thank you. And
No
and then there's going to be a non-Singular Point event happening on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard over on Monstrosities. But as of right now, I'm not at liberty to discuss what it might be. So there you go.
Looking forward.
All right, my turn. I very much enjoyed Singular Point. I'll say again that so far the Reiwa era is my favorite era since early Showa era. I think it's the most consistent the series has been in terms of quality and in terms of taking risks. I feel like for a long time there, the franchise lost its way. It started repeating itself a lot to diminishing effect. So it's cool to see things like SP throw such wildly different concepts at us. Toho's trying to expand the fan base, and I think that needs to happen. Shin, Earth, and SP have all gone after different audiences, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Toho comes up with next. I believe I've heard whispers that there's a live-action movie in the works, but they haven't said anything about that yet. So, really interested in seeing who they get to direct that, and what that might look like, and whether or not it'll have summation. But since Shin did so well, they'll probably try to move further into using CGI But it's an exciting time to be a Godzilla fan, and if this otter stuff isn't working for you, you have Legendary doing the more traditional stuff overseas. So there should be something for everyone. If neither work for you, there's 30 plus films to fall back onto.
Well said.
Well said. It was nice. It was nice finally getting to chat with you, Blue Nova.
Same here. You guys are pretty fun.
Take care, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, both of you guys have a wonderful night. It was
Thanks a lot.
awesome having you two on.
And Matt,
Adios.
great to catch up with you, man.
Sean, we'll talk soon, okay, man?
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Peace out. Thanks again, Davis.
No problem.
Oh, I'll get my old chair back.
Now, Nick, or Andres, I guess to go back to Singular Point, did you think the reunion between Yoon and May was satisfying? Or not reunion,
Absolutely.
the meeting,
It was
the actual meeting?
No, absolutely, yeah. It was a nice. It's a really great payoff to what they've been building up to. I liked how I mentioned earlier before you have these two dual protagonists whose paths have crossed multiple times. Yet it's a really nice bit of irony that they've never actually met up until the very end to sort of like solidify the bond that they have made through this journey.
It's social media friends meeting for the first time.
I guess so, yeah.
All right, Nick?
Yeah, I loved the ending. It's funny because I was one of those people who was initially worried about the ending and like worried if they were gonna kind of like slip the landing or just that they were going too fast. It's kind of funny because at the same time that I was watching Singular Point while it was coming out weekly, me and my roommate were watching SSSS Dynazenon, and we were kind of worried about the same thing there. But in both cases, we thought that it came out really well. But Dynazenon's a whole other topic. We're talking about Singular Point. But Singular Point's ending was really effective. Like, I mean, I love Jet Jaguar as a character in general, but I never thought that a show like this could make me feel so genuinely emotional about seeing him go like that. Like, I was like, oh my god, that's horrible. Like, between just what he was saying to Yoon and just seeing him get so brutally beaten and having his head blown off, like that's not something we saw back with Megalon Jet Jaguar.
Getting an Iron Giant on us.
Yeah, exactly. It is like the Iron
say
Giant.
You go.
That is true. I was wondering what exactly happened to Godzilla. I guess you could say that he died. I could almost see it as like a sort of like one of those things of like they only delay the inevitable, sort of like it'll come back and it'll just start anew again, and maybe they could try to like, okay, Rodans are showing up. Okay, now we know what to do from here, etc. Like,
You only postponed it. Judgment Day is inevitable.
yeah.
It could just be
not-
like a Shin
like-
Godzilla situation where he's just like frozen inside those spikes,
Or he's impaled.
Yeah.
Or he's impaled,
Yeah.
like
like Salunga.
Or yeah, we just didn't see it. We never exactly got that big of a bit, that good of a view of where exactly he was standing. So who knows? Like, we'll have to wait and see. Seeing Mei and Yoon meet like in person for the first time there at the end was very charming. I loved the little bit at the end where it's like you could see Pedos behind Mei, but there was like a 3 on it, so it's Pedos 3.
Right, because 2 technically died.
Yeah, because 2 technically died.
And before 2 died, 2 mentioned to one of the other characters that there's a backup of the AI back home or back on May's laptop. So it would be the same character, but they would have to reintroduce itself to the new characters that
yeah,
met prior to its death.
Which is bittersweet. If
Yeah,
you really
because
think
it's like
about it.
it's like, yeah, the backup is there, the personality's still there, but he probably he doesn't remember most of the stuff that just happened. So
Right.
And this is technically it's kind of like Rei Ayanami, if you really think about it. The original Rei technically dies, and then at one point, spoiler, old anime.
spoiler, it came out like 20 years ago.
Old anime on this.
Mhm.
And then lo and
But it is an
behold,
old anime that people are still discovering, and new generations of people are still discovering to this day.
right, but
fair
it's
enough.
it's something like
Oh well, it's been done. He said it, but
Yeah.
But other than that, that ending stinger with Mechagodzilla showing up, I hate that I was actually spoiled on that. That's the only thing from Singular Point that I was spoiled on, because it was in a spoiler channel. I didn't mute that when I knew the episode was coming out that day, but I didn't
let
mute
out
the
your
channel.
anger. Nick, let
And
out your
I was
anger.
just like, I should have muted that. Why didn't I do that?
Dude, I get it. I was lucky. I avoided everything. So I feel your pain.
You're
I'm glad I didn't have to go through that, but I feel your pain, dude.
You're good. Yeah, it's like, I mean, if it was something like, how do I put it? Like the 4 forms of Godzilla there, like I was technically spoiled on that because I knew about it, but that I wasn't so worried about. Like compared to that, which is Mechagodzilla showing up, which is like a big, like we didn't really know about that. Like that's something that wasn't advertised at all, something that we didn't know about at all. Like we did see Godzilla Aqualatus before, but we just thought that was Titanosaurus or something.
We'll get to that. We'll get to Godzilla soon.
Yeah, and I will say, I kind of had this thought of sometimes I like to jokingly make up fan theories that I feel like someone would actually have. Like, I don't know, I like to make fun of that kind of thing. And I was like, what if people start to make theories, like, because there's all the talk about time loops and such, and someone comes up with the theory that Ashihara is actually Yoon from the future. But
everyone,
man.
I have seen that a lot of people spreading that theory online, and I don't know if I believe that just because of the hair and that they're both geniuses.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, that's what I say. It's like, well, what's the evidence that they have the same haircut
and glasses?
And glasses. Why did his hair go from white to black as he got older? It seems kind of backwards.
Maybe it's just dyed right now.
Yeah, maybe he's just a hipster.
Real quick, Valerie has joined us.
Hey,
Valerie.
Hey, Valerie.
Hello.
Hey, good to finally meet you, Valerie.
Yep, you too, Sean. Oh yeah. Fuck you for ranting on Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
wait.
Who did that?
Wait, no, wait. Who was that?
It was me.
I love
It was me all along.
Valerie,
Wait,
I love
I'm
Godzilla
sorry.
versus Hedorah. I love Jay
I'm
hates
sorry,
it.
not you.
Jay hates it.
It's the worst show of movie. Get over it.
All
right,
I'm sorry.
Cole also hated it. Cole also hated it.
Listen,
Cole,
I will.
Cole. That's
On that
why
topic, I will say that
That shit ain't
I'm sorry.
bugging y'all.
I'm glad that I wasn't here for the tier list stream because I would have gone off on Hedorah because I hate that movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, my man. My man.
Damn.
Right here, man.
What's
Listen,
with all this Hedorah hate all of a
it's like,
sudden?
listen. If you guys like it, that's
Sean,
totally
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Me, I hate it.
If you guys hate Godzilla versus Hedorah, you're gonna go to hell before you die.
Been there, done that.
I'd rather turn
don't
into
care.
a Goomba.
All right, we go off to let Valerie say what she
Okay,
wants
but
to say.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I loved SP. I'm on my 3rd rewatch right now. 2nd rewatch of the dub. I've only watched it once subbed, so yeah. But overall, it's pretty good. And like the second time I watched it dubbed, I was like, oh well, I understand it more now. So, because the first time I was when it originally came out weekly and stuff, so I watched it weekly basically, as like you would on a TV show. But then when I binged it for like episode 1 to 11 for like one day, and then the next episodes the next day, I was like, oh, well, easy to understand. So, and I'm not smart, so.
I'm not smart
I'm
either.
sure
I
you're
get you.
smarter than a lot of people in the fandom. Just saying.
Yeah. Valerie, before Jay gives his thoughts on the finale, what did you think of the finale and the teaser at the end?
I loved it. So, So excited to see Mechagodzilla with the Kiryu style, like the bones of like wherever that Godzilla came from, which is probably the 54 one, because like they do mention that Godzilla or like Ashihara was in a village and he saw a huge,
I forgot about that.
yeah, and then he saw a monster and it destroyed the whole village, which is possibly like Odo Island.
Island.
Yeah. So hopefully maybe that is like the original 54 Godzilla.
And
But,
that would
like-
give motivation for Ashihara.
Yeah. But like maybe that Godzilla like didn't attack Tokyo then because there's like nothing about
Reference.
like
Yeah.
there's
There's
no
no, like,
references to
yeah.
that.
No one's ever like, oh, it's happening again.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I do the same thing. So in my mind, I don't think 54 happened, but maybe it did. But I don't know.
No one says Sarazawa took care of the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Well, maybe that's because the orthogonal diagonalizer wasn't like made yet, basically, or this universe's oxygen destroyer. So,
Yeah.
But yeah,
I gotta
I was like, go ahead.
I gotta ask you, Valerie, wasn't it also implied that maybe Ashihara was responsible for killing that Godzilla? Because there's that one little bit
Yes.
where it's a photograph of him posing in front of the skeleton.
Yeah, I think so. I gotta look at that again. I don't remember that photo, but yeah. But yeah, I did enjoy the finale. Jet Jaguar getting big, whatever. Who cares?
It was a base fight. Come on.
It was like
It
was-
grew big because of manliness.
Determination, just like the
What?
explanation from Megalon.
It's like, don't believe in yourself, you believe in the me who believes in you.
Believes in you. Well, Jay, or I'm sorry, Valley. Did you have more to say?
Not really, but yeah, during the finale when the Mega Neura appeared, I was like, oh, okay.
That was a fun thing, was that because
yeah.
the Mega Nulon appear in the end credits scene, and I thought that was just an Easter egg, but then they
Yeah.
actually show up, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And they look
Uh-huh.
identical to the 56 ones.
Oh, they were
Mhm.
they were not changed at all.
I just wish that there were also rodents on his back eating the Mega Neuras or Mega Nulons.
Oh, that would have been
That
cool.
would have been a nice.
Oh
touch.
yeah, that could have added like an extra threat to like, oh shit, there are two things trying to eat me.
They're eating them. And then
And then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god!
It also would have been an even greater callback to the original Rodan film.
Yeah.
But Jay, what did you think of the finale?
Okay. Before I give my thoughts on the finale, Dave was kind of bitch about something that's basically kind of in spoiler territory as well.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. We're all gonna give you shit for it anyway.
Go ahead, bring it on. I'm gonna get all the hate now, but I gotta get it off my chest. Sean already knows. Okay. I liked the character of Jet Jaguar. I didn't mind the design. I thought it was cool as the character evolved and got better and this and that. I absolutely hated with one of the creative decisions they made on Jet Jaguar, given the voice, female voice. I hated that. Now, before Sean, fuck you, Sean. Let me say this. If Mothra had a voice and Mothra had a man voice, that would piss you off.
No.
That would piss you off. I just don't feel like that AI voice fit to me. It didn't speak to me. It didn't fit for me. I didn't like that.
It's an AI
In
voice.
my mind,
It doesn't have
I
to sound a
felt like
certain way.
It's
a better
robot.
voice. Listen to
It's
me.
an
A better
AI.
voice. Listen, a better AI voice to me that would have fit for me. And I hate bringing this franchise up because I fucking hate Star Wars. But like, remember those the battle robots from Episode 1?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Roger. Like
Oh, yeah.
that would have been a better was kind of
No.
voice I kind of
No,
imagined.
no, no,
Like a
no.
robotic, a male
I
robotic
thought-
voice.
No.
Jay,
I
I thought-
The chibi female voice. It just
I mean,
felt so off-putting.
Jay-
I'll go ahead and say this that I was kind of going back and forth with Blue Nova earlier about Jet Jaguar's development is that it's not really like a woman's voice per se, like it's the voice of an infant because at that point Jet
Thank
Jaguar
you.
is
But
starting to
clearly-
become more human.
And it's AI. Who cares what kind of voice it
and,
has?
and
It
considering
didn't
that
work
he's
for me.
and considering that he's technically in his infancy at that point, it would make sense for him or it to like be
Yeah.
a child.
I know, but it just doesn't like fit. It just feels
I-
really off. It's
I
off-putting.
thought
Yeah.
Jay
And-
was
I thought
gonna
it made- I
say,
thought it made
It's
sense.
off-putting. Okay,
I-
it's very, very odd. It's a very odd creative decision. Okay,
Okay.
I don't hate
okay.
Singular Point. I just don't like that particular creative decision that they went with.
I guess
Jay-
before
I thought you were gonna say like, oh no, it should sound like Arnold from Terminator. Like,
No,
a
no, no.
cybernetic
I
human.
like a weird robotic
Totally.
voice. I felt like would have been more
I-
appropriate for me.
I-
Would have been more appropriate. I like when Minya in the Japanese version of All Monsters Attack doesn't bother me at all because I felt like that fit. Like to me, this didn't fit.
The first time I heard it, I
Uh,
cringed, but it's fine now.
I will
Well,
say, like, sort of in defense of Jay, it's like personally, I didn't mind it because I mean, it's a robot. A robot can have whatever voice it wants.
Yeah.
But I personally 100% understand where he's coming from.
Thank
I will admit, as when I first watched it, especially when he started talking like a
Thank
baby,
you,
I
Dr.
was like,
Jones.
that kind of weirded me out a little bit. I got used to it after a certain point, but I can understand why that would weird someone out. And I do admit that what he's talking about with the whole Minya and Destroy All Monsters thing, the reason why we make fun of the English dub version of Minya with that very deep voice is because it doesn't fit the character. Again, I can understand why he may think that voice wouldn't fit someone like... Yeah, I understand what Jay means by saying that probably doesn't fit Jaguar. It's his personal opinion, and if that's how it is for him, then that's how it is.
Again, it doesn't ruin the overall experience of Singular Point. I just feel like I said there's a lot of odd creative decisions, which is why I like it, don't love it. And
Jay-
just hearing that voice, let me finish on. Hearing that voice, especially in the scenes where he's using the spear, and you hear like Now, again, I watched it in Japanese. It's just like, oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
I think
personally.
it's a little better in that it might be. It's still like a childlike voice in the dub, but like it's like a child voice, but like, it's fine.
You know, like I said, if Mothra had a deep manly voice, like that would piss
What are you
all
doing
you
by
little
my
kaiju
food?
fans off. Just saying, okay?
Jay-
So would
Jay-
you put? Go ahead, John.
Mothra would probably be gender fluid.
Jay, and all jokes aside, please don't me flipping you off. It was all in fun. Please don't take
Yeah, I
it
know.
personally.
I know. I'm just.
I
just said just like I knew I was gonna get hate for it, but the thing is, no one's brought it up. We made it this far, and no one's brought that up.
well,
And it's
before
just I
you-
have to get it off my chest because this one. I wish Matt was here because it bothered me. It really did.
well,
Anyway, the finale. Because the reason why I wanted to segue because it was about Jet Jaguar, and Jet Jaguar was a big part of the finale. That was cool. Seeing Jet Jaguar and Godzilla fighting, okay, I'm like, okay, this is a good payoff that didn't cut away like the other scenes did. What I think happened, I'm just gonna say it like this. I mean, the way this world that we've watched, a lot of these monsters are in flocks. There's the Rodan flock, there's the Manda flock. Therefore, I think there's more than one Godzilla. I think Godzilla is
there
dead.
is one. There is one more than one.
Yeah.
The skeleton proves it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Godzilla is dead. It's clearly the hardest kaiju to kill, obviously. And I think there's more Godzillas out there. And
More so
Jet Jaguar, they'll build. I feel like they'll build Jet Jaguar again because I feel like I'm not gonna cry if he doesn't or it doesn't come back. But I'm sorry, it's just off-putting. I'm sorry. It's an very odd creative choice.
Yeah,
Please
like,
understand.
Can I just say one quick thing and then talk about the incredible? First off, I love Jet Jaguar so much in this show. He is a great character in this show, and he's a badass. He kicks so much ass in the show. I'm an oddball. I love the voice. I love it so much. I think it's great. And
Good for you.
I don't mind it.
the voice actresses did say they actually did pour their heart and soul into the performance of Jet Jaguar, and they really wanted to make Jet Jaguar feel alive. And in my opinion, I totally get where you're coming from, Jay. In my opinion, I thought they succeeded because
it worked for you. Great. It didn't work for me. Okay, and I can't be the only one that. I mean, Dr. Jones. What I'm saying. I knew I was gonna get like crap for it, but it bothered me to no end.
GVK isn't booty sauce.
Yes, it is.
I will say, I just had this sudden realization. Yeah, I just had this sudden realization. I just remembered something. In the English dub for Singular Point, the voice actress who plays Jet Jaguar is Kira Buckland, which I think that's kind of fitting because she played a robot previously because she played 2B in Nier Automata.
Really?
Really now?
Yeah.
Yeah, your dog agrees.
He knows.
But yeah, and as far as the Mechagodzilla at the end, I mean, again, I was lucky I avoided the spoilers, but I wasn't at all like surprised. I was just like, oh, cool, awesome. And again, I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot. Hang on.
Oh, look at that.
Commentary. Thank you so much.
Keep that cash coming.
Y'all a bunch of nerds. LOL, gotta linger in chat on mute because I'm only on episode 3.
Yep.
But hope you guys have been enjoying the show as much as I am. I mean, Derek, we love it. We love Godzilla Singular Point. Just want to let you know that.
I like it.
Hey, that's close enough.
Likes it, which
I like.
It's fine.
I don't. Hey, but I'm sorry. I gotta blame Sean. I gotta blame SCRYE. And Matt has a role in it too. Y'all overhyped it. You overhyped the finale. It was a good finale, but it just, it was just. I think some of y'all just overhyped it. I'm sorry. It's just, but it gives a good like conclusion to a story, a part of this greater universe.
Can I say this, Jay? Is it really messed up when Ashihara smiled? Is it weird that I actually thought of your smile? but see, there's the American Ashihara. If there's an American Singular Point, get Jay as Ashihara.
Metalhead Ashihara.
Yes.
Fitting because Ashihara does have some responsibility in the creation of Mechagodzilla, so it all comes full circle.
All right, Davis, go. I'm done. Davis, go ahead and pitch your thoughts real quick. I gotta drain the snake. Be right back.
All right then. I'm gonna say it. I got pretty emotional during the final episode of Singular Point. I mentioned earlier how this was a series where you really rooted for the characters. I was super invested in the characters myself. I actually thought they were going to fail and that Godzilla would end up winning and destroying everything. But that fight between Jet Jaguar and Godzilla was amazing. I loved every second of it. I don't think I ever gotten that emotional over a fight in a Godzilla film ever, honestly. I thought it was handled super well. And even though it seemed like there really wasn't any build up to it, watching it again, there kind of was a little bit of build up actually, and that's what kind of makes it even better. As for the end credits, though, I mean, we've all said it. It's awesome. Bring on Mechagodzilla. Although I have one nitpick about it, and this mainly comes from a nostalgia standpoint because it was my very first Godzilla movie. I wish it had the Terror of Mechagodzilla theme instead. I think that would have been amazing. But as for what I think happened to Godzilla, I mean, I think Godzilla was done for, but at the same time, I feel like there's definitely more Godzilla out there. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to like whatever season 2 brings to the table, if they ever come out with the season 2.
Well said. But by the way, Andres,
Mhm.
we were talking about this earlier. What do you think of the Jet Jaguar voice?
I don't mind it one way or the other, honestly.
Thanks.
It's like the fact that the matter is, I was exposed to that voice as both Pero 2 and Yoon's smartphone AI. So once they added that voice over to Jet Jaguar, it's like, okay, that's not really Jet Jaguar's voice. That's the AI voice that is currently piloting or using Jet Jaguar's body. And eventually, as the series progressed, it's like, okay, now this AI is becoming Jet Jaguar. And so it's like it was a good progression from AI to AI piloting the robot to fully sentient robot. So yeah, like I said, it's not my preferred voice for Jet Jaguar, especially given that the character was mute to begin with back in the day. But you know what? For what it was, it worked in the context of the series, so I never really had an issue with it.
What's up?
Well said. This didn't work for me. That's all.
Fair enough.
Davis, I've been itching to talk about this for a while. For the next topic, can we talk about Godzilla himself? I've been dying to talk about Godzilla.
Yes, yeah. Like, how did you guys feel about this anime's take on Godzilla? Starting with Sean.
I fucking, excuse my language, love Godzilla in this show. I adore this interpretation of Godzilla. First off, I love the idea of Godzilla constantly evolving. I mean, I love Shin Godzilla, for example. And this, honestly, took what worked in Shin to a new level, with him basically just being this kind of demonic animal that continually evolves more and more over the course of the show. And I don't have a problem with this. I love that each time he evolves, his design is a nod to a previous classic tokusatsu monster. I mean, his first form, Aquatus, is basically Titanosaurus. The amphibious form is Varan. The how do you say it?
Terrestrus.
Terrestrus is
Tetris.
it's basically Gorosaurus, and then the ultimate form is the Godzilla we all know. And personally, I thought Godzilla was terrifying in this show. Like, there are some shots in this that I legit was like, that's actually pretty terrifying. Like,
real quick, Sean, thank you so much, Stephen Walker and Florgo. Look forward to season 2 if they decide to do it. If they do, what kaiju would you like to see? I think King Caesar and Mothra could work in the show. I think we'll go ahead and and pair this question with what we think of Godzilla as we continue to go around. So when you're done talking about Godzilla, Sean, feel free to answer this question.
Okay. I loved his powers. Like, I love his new atomic breath, and I love that it's a reference to the Minya smoke rings when it's evolving.
Yes.
It was a nice touch. It was a nice touch.
And then it
Treacherous does the smoke rings, just the smoke rings, and then Ultima does smoke rings with the
Shin
laser.
With the Shin Godzilla laser, essentially. I thought Godzilla, like I said, Godzilla was actually pretty scary at points. There's one shot in the aquatic form when he leaps out of the ocean, and that close up on his eye and just hearing his growl. That's actually pretty scary. Or when he's in his amphibious form, that vapor atomic breath thing he does, where he tries when he's cooling off the environment, and then when he gets shot at, he uses that to his advantage and creates a huge explosion which just nukes the nearby buildings.
I think there's a Gamera 2 reference there when Gamera's like with all the Legion or whatever. He's just like
Oh
like
yeah,
Chris. Yeah,
because the
like he's
Rodans
just
that are near
standing
him,
there dead or whatever.
and the Rodans near him get killed in the process. And of course,
Yeah, like
and of course, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Valerie.
keep going.
Okay. And of course, I love the Ultimate design. Andres, you know this very well.
You can keep going.
Andres, you knew this before I even saw the show. I was not on board with the Ultima design at first. I was not a fan. But now seeing it in motion, it works. It really works. And I also love that Godzilla personally picks out people that are attacking him. Like when he looks at Yoon and like he's literally gonna blast him, what he does to the Mandas. It's kind of sad that this show has a better ancient rivalry with Godzilla and the Mandas than the MonsterVerse with every ancient rival of the week. And that atomic breath scene with the chanting. Wow.
Yes.
Legit.
Very King of the Monsters.
I'm sorry, Valerie. That to me topped anything King of the Monsters.
Yeah, the choir. Yeah, I love the choir. It was
and that shot,
an awesome touch.
And then that final shot of him when he's in the flames and he's just like looking directly at the camera. This Godzilla is basically like a Japanese demon, essentially. And
oh yeah.
Long story short, I love Godzilla in this show. And honestly, he's only in the show for 14 minutes, but every time he's on screen, I feel his presence because it's utilized so well. I guess last thing to say, in terms of other kaiju, I'm going to default to that. I want to see King Caesar and Mothra in this universe. So yeah, I love Godzilla in this show.
We kind of did get a nod to Mothra at like episode 12 or 11, like the little moths and the Indian song played.
Real quick, Big O's in the chat. What's up, dude?
What's going on, dude?
Hey, dude.
Big O.
So, Andres, what did you think of Godzilla in the show?
I liked him. Anyways, no. Yeah, I definitely thought...
Buy Purple Warrior Draco Azul. Available on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Like, you know who's also something as cool as Trigatsu now. So I definitely really like this idea, this version of Godzilla. It really goes to show that the character works best as an antagonist or in an antagonistic role. As opposed to being an anti-hero or even a straight up superhero. He's just, I don't know, for me personally, he's just always been more compelling as this like unstoppable, godly force of nature that humanity has to overcome, if not just learn to deal with. With the design itself, you know, I loved the idea that, you know, this guy was essentially like a more fleshed out version of like of Shin Godzilla, really, where Shin Godzilla is this mysterious creature of an unknown origin that is constantly evolving, pulling new tricks out of its bag every so often. Very unpredictable. Just this sort of like ominous creature slowly moving towards an unknown direction with an unknown motivation, an unknown goal. We don't know a whole lot about Godzilla and what he's there to do. But the fact of the matter is that
his goal is to create the catastrophe or whatever. So, I guess.
I'm not sure if he's like intentionally creating the catastrophe or is that just like a natural part of him just simply being. That's just the result of him existing there.
Maybe, yeah.
Sort of like how for us humans, we create, carbon dioxide when we breathe in oxygen. We're not intentionally creating carbon dioxide. That's just how our bodies are naturally function.
Yeah.
We could speculate all we want as to, you know, what he's there for. Yeah, season 2. Maybe we'll get all the answers there. But for what we have for this season, and all the information that all the clear-cut information that we have been given, I liked having this Godzilla as this unknown force that is like that completely destroys the very almost seems to like destroy or throw everything that humans knew about reality out the window and are left to lament and confront and just like just have to process the existence of such an incredibly an incredibly destructive and not awe-inspiring, but just like a terrifying force. With the design itself, again, I really like the concepts of an ever-evolving Godzilla, sort of matching evolution from an aquatic-based creature to a land-based creature.
It's a Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Pokemon. And I never had an issue. Yes.
I'm sorry, but real quick, Yoko Higuchi is in the chat. He says,
"Yo,
hey,
Yoko.
Hey, I just want to pop in
Yoko.
and say, hey, sorry for coming in late, boys. Always good to hear y'all talk about Singular Point, 6 = 9. Also, buy Draco Azul now. The real catastrophe is not buying Draco Azul.
Fuck yeah!
I would pull out my copies, but my little brother's borrowing them right now.
Also,
Hope he likes them, but yeah. I'll put it right here in case anyone doesn't know what Draco Azul is.
also,
if you want to know more, then check out the one of the earlier episodes of TokuTitanCast where I interview Mr. Andres Perez here about Draco Azul.
Exactly.
also check out
Indeed.
Yoko's latest short film.
Alien in Tokyo.
Alien in
It's
Tokyo, yeah.
it's phenomenal.
It is.
It is.
Let's see there. So, as I was saying, yeah, I really enjoyed the design. Never had an issue, as everyone likes to make fun of the certain people like to make fun of the proportions. I always thought it was very unique. I like the aesthetic, the layered armor. Ever since we got even that once we get that initial reveal of that portrait, that not portrait, but that like profile, the sketch of that profile, I knew that this was going to be something special. And yeah, would I like to have seen more of Godzilla and know what's up with him? Sure, definitely. But I feel like this version of the character works. And in terms of a character, I just gotta say, to quote, I mentioned this when we were recording, Matt and I were recording our review with Patrick and Raph and Shoma. I can sum up Singular Point Godzilla with this quote from SpongeBob. He's just standing there, menacingly.
Valerie, before you go, one last thing I do have to mention that I love about Godzilla is the idea he represents of end times, the catastrophe, the idea of him being an embodiment of impending doom. And I'm going to make a counter argument. I think Godzilla in this show actually does have personality because of how much he reacts to stuff. Like, he reacts to a lot of stuff. When the Manda's attacking him, when he's going after the Mandas, when he's fighting the military, and when he fights Jet Jaguar, and when he singles out Yoon specifically. Like, I think this Godzilla does have quite a bit of personality, honestly.
Mhm.
Oh, and Andres, which kaiju would you like to see in season 2 if there was to be one?
All the kaiju. All of them.
I want to see Draco Azul.
Draco Azul in the Singularverse.
Draco Jaguar.
Draco Jaguar. Well, they already got my favorite monster in there, Titanosaurus, in some form, so I doubt they're ever going to bring him for real there. Let's see. Any monster that I would like to see. I suppose Baragon. Yeah, we haven't really seen Baragon there. I agree. Like King Caesar, that'd be really cool to see. I think he'd be a neat fit. And yes, to respond to Laura, yeah, I can. You can describe his design with "Damn boy, he's thick." That's a thick ass boy.
Guys, so no problem with me. Okay, so
Baragon and King Caesar. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the kaiju I want to see in season 2. Shay, giant condor. Yes.
Finally.
Yes, huzzah! A man of
And a faster
quality.
fight.
Let's see. I feel like the Shockurus or whatever from 84 could work. It is in the end credits, so of SP. Yeah, maybe that. I don't know, honestly. So we got Mega Godzilla already confirmed, basically. Dang, this is hard, actually.
Gigan?
Yes, Gigan. Gigan, I would like to see, hopefully. And Hedorah. We sort of got him when they killed the Kumonga / Megalon things, I guess. The blue stuff.
And plus, there was also like a reference to Hedorah in episode 1 during that festival that was going on.
Yes. But yeah, anyway, I love Godzilla in this. I love the evolution, him evolving, basically. But I think I prefer it here than in Shin Godzilla, but Shin Godzilla has the cuter version, which is Kamada. So I love him. Yeah, I like that Aquatilis is basically Titanosaurus, and then Amphibia is Varan.
Yep.
But then like when he is like transforming from when he Amphibia and does the like breath, the freeze breath or whatever, and he gets crystallized, that I said it before, but it reminded me of in Gamera 2 with the Legion like all over him, and how Gamera is just like standing there in like that pose, and then like after all the Legion die, he like gets up again, and after Godzilla's done like being crystallized, he just comes as Treacherous, basically, which is also kind of like Gorosaurus, I guess. But yeah, I love Ultima. I love the fangs on him. Kind of another reference to Gamera, I guess, except they're up here and not
He's
there.
got a mohawk too. He's got a mohawk.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like them thick, so
Extra thick.
yes.
Like a Chicago deep dish.
Godzilla is my favorite waifu now, or husbando, whatever.
Godzilla's got a dump truck.
Damn, you got that dump truck.
I was just gonna say Godzilla's tail in the show. Woo! Stop.
Oh
flexing,
yeah, it
Godzilla.
is. It is long. The freaking SH Monster Arts is like, geez.
It's like 2/3 tail.
Yeah,
It makes the Shin Godzilla tail look short.
yeah. When
It actually kind of does.
And I
when
believe-
people when people get their SH Monster Arts Ultima figure, we need to see a tail comparison.
How long?
I can't believe this fan base has resulted to a tail measuring contest.
How long?
First
Andres,
feet, now tails. What the hell?
Andres, how long is Godzilla's tail in Singular Point compared to Shin Godzilla?
I'm sorry, but Yoko in the live chat says hashtag dump truck Godzilla. Get that
Yes.
shit right.
Yes.
Shay, Godzilla be bussin'
Be
with the thickness.
Let's see,
Everyone
what
get
else?
down with the thickness. Oh, wow.
And then I guess I'll just say this because I wasn't here earlier, but I like all the characters in SP, but I think my favorite would be May and Yoon, obviously,
Hell
but
yeah.
also Goro. Love him.
Yes.
Godzilla Ultima built like a Pixar mom.
Oh, no.
Let's go
man.
Godzilla! Let's go Godzilla hunting!
And then I don't know if you guys saw, but my profile picture is now Satomi, who's the goth chick
Yes.
that does
Yeah.
nothing. I love her.
I do
It's
want
very
to.
accurate.
That is definitely the one character I wanted to know more about.
I liked her
I like
scenes,
her.
though. I liked her scenes though. I love the part when the robot gets taken over and it's like thanks for letting me borrow this. You're welcome.
Borrow.
Wait, borrow?
Yeah, no, I like her. She's like kind of relatable to me. So
It's like I said earlier, it's like when I first saw her, I was expecting her to be like, oh man, I want to die all the time. But like one of my favorite parts is when
stereotypical motherfucker.
Yeah, but they don't do. But that's the thing is that they don't do that.
She's surprisingly a very polite individual.
Yeah, like my favorite part with her is probably when they first give Jet Jaguar his proper legs and the spear, and she's like, "Oh man, he's so cute." And then Hubbard was like, "That's one way to describe him."
And when Jet Jaguar's doing the moves, she's like, "This is kind of goofy." And Girl's like, "No, this is manly."
But yeah, I liked her. So she was relatable to me, even though she was like barely in it. But you know, I relate to that. So
that's what's great about the cast. It's at least one character anyone can relate to.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought all the characters were great. Can't wait to see more of Ashihara.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And see what season 2 has in store. So, all right, Nick.
I just want to say real quick, I tweeted dump truck Godzilla.
Make
Davis, why? Davis, why you do this, man?
Make it trend.
Hey, I mean,
just keep on trucking.
Yep.
Keep on.
I
on that episode of Ice Road Truckers.
I really like that comment of Laura's. Godzilla's a grower, not a shower.
I'm gonna scry with Spirit and scry with Piru 2. I relate to Piru 2. I relate to Scry. I relate to Adam.
All right, Nick.
All right. You know, it was such a weird journey with Godzilla because, like, I kept hopping back and forth, like, I like this. Oh, maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But, like, now the show is out, and yeah, I love it. I love him. I really do love the fact that there are so many very different, like, just little bits and nods with the, like Sean was saying earlier, like, Aquilautus is basically Titanosaurus.
Yeah.
Amphibia is basically like Varan. I'm pretty sure like they even use what sounded like a Varan roar or something like that.
No, they do. They use Varan roar.
Okay. All right, just making sure. And this was just a little thing for me, like, but looking at Ultima, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but he kind of has the spikes on his like chest and his belly that kind of look like Gigan's buzzsaw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I never realized that.
The plates kind of reminded me, weirdly enough, his spines also kind of reminded me of a samurai armor a little bit.
No, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like one of those like ancient Japanese castles.
And the face totally reminds of me of like a Japanese no mask.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that's what I think I love about this Godzilla so much, is that he's so mythological in appearance. Like, he looks like something that would have come straight out of like a painting from like the Edo era or something. It's absolutely gorgeous design. And he probably, I'm not going to lie, after thinking about it quite a little bit,
Fine, I'm giving in. Here, I'm going on Twitter right now. Here. Davis, I hope you're happy.
I only have 10 followers.
Hey, now, don't tell that to me. Tell that to Yoko.
Yoko, I hope you're happy.
He's the one who's starting that.
Yeah.
And then Laura comes back with Badonka Tonka Trunk Godzilla.
But what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I love his atomic breath, especially. Like, I remember when that one trailer came out where we first saw our look at the atomic breath, where it was like the rain forming around his mouth. And I was like, I thought that was kind of like a Godzilla Earth sort of thing, where it does the same thing. And with Ultima, it's like a whole bunch of rings. And it's, to me, it's like it's guiding the breath almost. And I don't know why. I just find that to be a really cool idea. I don't know. I just could imagine like the rings sort of like curving off to the side, and then that makes the breath go that way. Just sort of like a little detail. I don't know. I just thought that could be a cool idea. He is true. He was not in the show that much, but I thought he was perfectly effective as this apocalyptic sort of threat. I mean, I was thinking back to like episode 9 or something, where it's like they're looking out from the boat and you see the giant like cloud of red dust, and I'm like,
That was nice.
Oh my god, I love that.
And like,
shot.
even if we don't even see Godzilla, it's like, you know what that is. You know where that's coming from, and it's freaky as hell.
That does remind me. I forgot to mention before to add what you said. He's not in the show a lot. I would say I thought it was a rather clever thing to do, where he's technically in the show a lot when you consider all his other forms. It's like he's there and he's not there at the same time. So he's technically there almost from the beginning of this journey, when you first see Godzilla Quaddulus being teased at the end of what was it, episode 2 or 3? 3.
It was 3.
3, yeah. So he's there, pretty much for like 3/4 of the show. He is there, but they still do the tradition of the classic build up and eventually the reveal, and they want to save Godzilla for the finale, but they also want to have him play a major part throughout the story. So this is sort of like them having their cake and eat it too, and that's what I really appreciated with this story.
Well, I love how Godzilla gets his name in the show, because there's that beautiful mural painting in episode 1 that's a reference to a classic Japanese painting. And Godzilla, the word Godzilla means a monster that brings about the apocalypse and leaves behind a Red Sea. And I'm like, I love that. That's genius.
Yeah, no, that was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a big on the live chat says, "God, the things I would do to this Godzilla." Oh no!
Jay, please go. Jay, please go. Jay, before this gets more disturbing, please go.
No, Nick didn't give us 2 monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. But monsters, I would want to see in a season 2. I feel like using the sort of dynamic that they established in the show, like how you have like those monsters like the Rodans, the Kamungas, and the Mandas that are like a whole herd of them. I feel like Ebera and Kamakuras would be fitting for something like that. In terms of like the more like we only really ever see one of them, like with Anguirus and Salunga. King Caesar would definitely be a good fit. I would love to see him. And Mothra would be cool too. Coming from like a bit of a perspective of just they're some of my favorites and I'd like to see them, Gigan and Biollante would be kind of cool. And yeah.
All right, Jay.
Okay, so without getting into the thickness here, I just want to say that I'm so glad they went with something different. Okay, we got several different designs of Godzilla, because honestly, God, I would have been a little bit ticked off if it was just a rehash of 54 or rehash of the Heisei. Like if they just cut, copy and paste and made it animated, I would have been a little upset because it's like, yo, you have an opportunity to do something. They did something different, and I'm good with it. I wasn't bothered by it. I was actually really happy with how they designed it overall. Again, something unique. Is it my favorite? Is it my go-to? No, but like I said, they did something different, and it worked. And seeing it in, like what Sean said earlier, seeing it in motion, like, yeah. That's all. So as for the two monsters I want to see in season 2, all right. So I got one for you guys. Biollante first and foremost, and here's why. Because what if the red cocaine in the air, gets into plant?
Sorry, that was just
plants and plant life causes mutations in plants. We get a Biollante or many Biollantes. Woo, yeah! And then finally,
I'd love to see that.
my other wish, and I'm just throwing a curveball out there, the Gargantuas. Imagine that'd be what's on ice skates right there. If our Gargantuas show up in an animated Godzilla, we never seen Godzilla and the Gargantuas together. How cool!
Except unless
I know in the comics, then outside the comics. Come on, I know you're. I'm saying in live media. Fuck comics.
Would you
I'm just saying, even in an anime, to see the Gargantuas in this universe would be so tits. Like this humanoid monsters that came out of nowhere that just like many Gargantuas, not just 1 and 2, like many Gargantuas.
So you want it to be Attack on Titan?
Yeah, but the Gargantuas, man.
Lyra and Sanda are Titans. Well, mostly Lyra.
So that's just my personal. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think my wish is a little out there, and I don't want to get my hopes up. But I'm just throwing my 2 cents out there.
Now, would you want them to come from Frank the giant Frankenstein monster, or would you want them to combine into the Frankenstein monster?
I don't know. I
have them pull off that move that like the twin angels from Evangelion do.
And if you know what, even a better throwback. How about if Baragon makes it or a bunch of Baragons make it to season 2, and we get like Gargantuas and Baragons facing off? Oh yeah, the possibilities. But all right, Davis, go ahead.
Get a Robo. I'm kidding.
The Mechasauruses.
Yeah.
But Andres, what if I don't like Mechasauruses? What if I don't like that?
Well, then you can go fuck yourself.
Okay, but
love you too, Andres.
But in all seriousness, I absolutely loved Godzilla Ultima from the start. Ever since that one image of its like head popped up, I was like, okay, I kind of like where this is going. And then there was that full body shot. Yeah. Well, not only did I admire how thick this Godzilla was, I really liked how like dinosaurian it looked. I feel like the last time we've gotten a Godzilla that that had that sort of dinosaur aesthetic was Godzilla 98, and I feel like here it was done very well. I can actually see like that sort of look for Godzilla like appearing in real life as opposed to the legendary Godzilla, but that's just me.
I mean, Tyrannosaurus kind of has like a Tyrannosaur look to him, like with the arms.
And plus, for such a large creature, it would make sense for Godzilla to have like a big butt, and those thick thighs, like in order to support its own.
Never
weight.
skips leg day, Davis. Never skips leg day. Just saying.
This is something.
But I will say he definitely skipped arm and back day.
Never skipped. I
was gonna say
typical T-Rex fashion.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say I forgot to mention that was another thing I forgot to mention as well. Yeah, I do like the idea. The thinking behind designing Godzilla in this way, where if you had a creature that was like fully proportioned, equally proportioned, that would be a very difficult. Like scientifically, the character would have a lot of difficulty trying to move about. But having a creature that's like heavier at the bottom and then like lighter up top, that's like a much more functional
I'm sorry, Adam.
designed for the character to walk around.
Adam.
Adam says, "I like big butts. I cannot hide."
I like
Adam and
big
Laura,
butts.
oh my
and,
god.
now Laura and Yoko are talking about Godzilla's thickness. All right.
Oh,
Do you think
I want
anyway,
to bring back the butt brain from Mechagodzilla 2.
Anyway,
He ain't just dummy thick, he dummy smart.
Also,
Professor Godzilla.
Going back to Shin Godzilla, I really like the idea of Godzilla like evolving throughout the story. It's definitely an element that like grounds the character even further in reality, because I can definitely see like a creature like Godzilla having like this sort of biology and life cycle, and I definitely appreciate the fact that they brought it into Singular Point, though amped it up even further. With the aquatic form, the 2 land forms, and then Godzilla Ultima at the end.
Yeah, I forgot to say this about Aquatillus, but he looks like a mosasaur, basically. Like it would exist, basically.
Oh yeah.
Also, Davis, to add to that, the fact this Godzilla's skin can easily regenerate, because when he's in the Terrestrus form, when he gets hit by the missiles, his skin like goes full on John Carpenter's The Thing, with catching the missiles.
Oh yeah,
that was so
takes him
cool.
and then like it does like a weird explosion thing.
And I guess one more thing I want to mention about Godzilla in the series is that I really liked what Godzilla represented in the show, being the apocalypse, the end of all things. And I was always in the mindset that Godzilla is more of an idea than a character. I mean, I like that's just me personally. I feel like Godzilla being an idea more than a character really allows for all sorts of like animators, filmmakers, like just creators in general to really take advantage of the very concept of Godzilla and see how they can adapt the character in different scenarios. And I absolutely love what they did here.
It's funny you mentioned that, Davis, because I remember Blue Nova recently posted a tweet about this. Akira Takarada had a quote talking about Godzilla, saying that Godzilla is not an actor that is restricted to one typecast role. Like an actor, he can take on various different roles, each one more different from the last.
I remember that quote.
And I 100% agree with Blue Nova there. And as for Kaiju, I want to see in season 2, I'd love to see Biollante. And you know what? Screw it, Gargantuas.
Davis and I ride that same wavelength.
Oh yeah.
No, he just wants them because there's no more Attack on Titan stuff to talk about.
Not until next year.
Yeah, for season 4, part 2.
Yeah.
I guess before we move on to the next topic, here's one question: do you think the red dust added to the atmosphere of Godzilla, or do you think it maybe was a little detrimental? Because some people have complained that the red dust obscures him too much, but I personally didn't have that problem with him.
No,
I didn't have that problem
it.
at all.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
To me, I hate saying this, but it almost kind of felt like, you know how in King of the Monsters where Ghidorah had the perpetual storm around him?
Yeah.
Kind of had that same element, kind of. But better.
True,
Much
but
better, just saying.
It's more visually pleasing, I think, and it helps.
Yeah.
The red dust definitely is like the main element that gives
It's
this
hell.
incarnation, this incarnation of Godzilla its own identity.
Oh yeah.
For me, it was more visually appealing here, but I think it worked both here and in KOTM. But that's just me.
Fair enough.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to 3 hours. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling great.
I'm fine.
Maybe
just
having
want to do our
to.
general thoughts of the whole thing overall.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I'm getting pretty tired now, so I'm maybe leaving pretty soon, regardless.
oh, one more topic, Davis, maybe before we move on.
No,
Maybe.
I'm kidding.
Well, Andres, to make it easy on you, maybe we can go around on this topic. What you thought of the animation and the music?
Okay.
So, should we go around, Davis?
We'll have Andres go first, and then he can share his final thoughts on Singular Point, plug his
Okay.
stuff, and just get things settled.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely very intrigued when I heard that the two studios that were behind this production. We had Studio Bones and Studio Orange. Bones has been behind a number. The more I looked into Bones, the more I found out that they were behind a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed. Whether it was like Space Dandy, Full Metal Alchemist, what was it, Soul Eater, My Hero Academia, which I absolutely love. Let's see, I'm pretty sure there was like Mob Psycho 100. They do genuinely very high quality work. And Studio Orange, I know them primarily from Beastars, another series that I really enjoyed, at least the first season. Haven't watched season 2 yet. And so I think that they're merging their expertise in 2D and 3D animation are superb. And for them to be able to blend the two elements together, I thought was very natural. It didn't feel very awkward at all whatsoever, unlike the anime trilogy, where you can definitely tell that Polygon, despite Polygon being being very experienced in 3D animation, I feel like perhaps it was due to like either crunch time or like a budget issue. But this was definitely, when it came to the anime trilogy, this was not Polygon's A game. I could easily tell where they were cutting corners left and right constantly throughout each movie. But with this, it was like a very visually pleasing to the eyes. Every character just shines. Every monster looks amazing. The monsters, they move in such a very natural and believable way. They all carry a sense of weight to them. The characters themselves move very fluidly. Everything is bright, colorful, and vibrant. There are scenes, especially during the very last episode, where both Salunga and Jet Jaguar are being portrayed with 2D animation. That was pretty strange. So I can only wonder what was happening there. Either maybe these particular shots were just too complicated to pull off in 2D, but it was pretty distracting because, again, we're so used to seeing these characters in CG that seeing them suddenly be in 2D, it's like, oh, wait, whoa, what's happening here?
I didn't really notice that before. So, like, the first...
Okay.
So, I really kind of didn't notice, but that's probably because, like, for season 4, part 1 of Attack on Titan, like, they had, like, a mix of 2D, and then some of the Titans were, like, 3D, and then 2D again, so, like, maybe I was just, like, used to that, so...
The most notable scene is when, in the finale, Jet Jaguar's crash lands on the ground before, like, falling into that abyss. And the other scene that's very noticeable is when, again, last episode, when Salunga is, like, ripping open the base, the base, in order to get to the super calculator. So when he's lifting that, like, the roof off of that deep chasm and, like, jumps down and lands, that's when he's, like, completely 2D animated. Would I prefer a fully 2D animated series? Yes, personally. Personally, I'm always going to be a fan of traditional animation over computer animation. But for what they did here was couldn't have been better, I feel. In terms of the music, though, the music beyond the theme and the particular what was it, the the Indian song
lullaby.
Alapu Apala.
Yeah. So those are really great pieces. The music, most of the music is probably going to be one of those things where I need to rewatch or re-listen to in order to fully appreciate. Because for me, there's only like a few standout tracks that I can imagine myself listening to on its own. But for the rest of it, it didn't quite get me to. It didn't quite like blew me away. But at the same time, it was like more than serviceable enough to make the to get the job done and convey each of those scenes. and emotions to get the audience to have the emotions that the creators wanted the audience to have.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of my overall thoughts on the series, since I'm going to be heading out now, love the show. It's definitely got its flaws. It's definitely not for everybody, but for me personally, I enjoyed the ride the whole way through. For me, this is honestly the best Godzilla story since Godzilla: The Half-Century War from IDW. I would say, yeah, this is the best story since that one, and this is easily going to be perhaps one of the most interesting and unique takes on Godzilla yet. And I really hope that that Toho will capitalize on this incarnation in the future. So hope to see more from this version. Yeah. So again, thank you very much, Davis, for inviting me to this stream. It was a pleasure to be able to chat with everyone here again.
Good
And
to talk to you
yeah,
again, Andres. Good to talk to you again, man.
thanks, man. So for anyone who is interested, what was that, Valerie?
Oh, I was gonna see you.
Oh, okay. So for anyone who is interested, you can follow me over on my channel at Kaiju Noir, where I do a series of reviews of movies, television, comics, what have you. You can also check me out on Instagram, and you can also check out my independent comic book series, Primal Warrior Draco Azul, if you like giant robots, giant monsters, all that good stuff. Be sure to check it out on Amazon, Comixology, Kindle, what have you. And follow all of the latest Draco Azul news on the Primal Warrior Draco Azul Facebook page. Yeah, be sure to do that. And issue 3 of Draco Azul is also is currently in production and will hopefully be released somewhere around December or January. In the meantime,
Hey,
I got a bunch of
Congrats, man.
thank you. And also be sure to also coming up soon is a comic book crossover between 2 kaiju webcomics, Gural the Smasher and Sleipnir, Equestrian Invader from Jupiter, in which Draco Azul will have a sizable role in this crossover series. It's a webcomic. You can find it. I believe the poster art has been released on both Webtoons and tapas.io. So and any other Draco Azul related projects that will be coming out soon, you can be sure to follow it all on my social media. So yeah,
awesome.
And thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much, Bonus Commentary, and thank you as well, Yoko, for your support. And yeah, hopefully, if you guys like it, leave a review, spread the word. Anything will help independent creators such as myself. So yeah, thank you very much, you guys. Oh, and one last thing. So my artist for Draco Azul, he's got his own kaiju webcomic out now on his own website called Colossal Conqueror. So nice. Do check him out. My artist's name is Tyler Souls. That's Sowles. He's got his own website, tylersouls.com. So that's where you can find his webcomic Colossal Conqueror, which is a giant iguanodon dinosaurian monster. So yeah, you can also check it out on his Instagram and his Facebook page, all that other stuff as well. He's got a Facebook page as well that is Colossal Conqueror, dedicated to his webcomic. So yeah, always support independent. As much as we love Godzilla, there's a lot of stuff out there that inspired by Godzilla. So be sure to go out there, check out the indie scene, because if you like Godzilla, there's bound to be much more stuff out there in the world that got to represent your love for the indie creators.
Absolutely, man.
Yep. Well said, dude.
For sure.
All right. So thanks again, everybody, both here in the chat, in the audience, in this chat here. Best of luck to all of you guys, and hope to see you all soon.
Take care, Andres.
Take care, man. Nice working with you tonight.
Absolutely. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Take care.
You all doing okay? Davis, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay. Jay, Nick?
Yeah.
You done?
Fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, I guess in terms of my thoughts on the animation music, I love both. The music I adore. I love Alapu Apula. That lullaby theme is so haunting and bone chilling, and I love the choir renditions of it towards the end of the series, especially in the final 2 episodes. I also love the very kind of optimistic one after Godzilla gets killed by Jet Jaguar. I love that one. I love the rendition of the Godzilla theme, and then when it eventually turns into the choir chanting, I love that.
Yes.
I love the songs. I love the opening credits song Encased by Bish. I think it's such a good opening theme song. I love the end credits theme. Oh, I love the music in the show. And also for the animation, I adore the animation. I think the monster action is great. I think the monsters are beautifully animated. I think their designs look great. I think the action scenes are wonderful. The cinematography, I think, is phenomenal. And I just want to say the blending of CG animation and 2D is really well done. And I think the regular scenes are well animated too. I think the human scenes are also have good animation and have a great color palette. And I love the unique character designs. Oh, it's great. I love whenever the orthodox diagonalizer is used, when the spikes are used. Oh, before we move on, man, did this show have a great use of the oxygen destroyer, quote unquote. The use of the oxygen destroyer, orthodox diagonalizer in the show was wonderful, and it made me hate the use of the oxygen destroyer in King of the Monsters 10 times more. Michael
Yeah,
Dalton.
it was a cool reference.
It was a
Yeah.
cool Easter egg. Yeah, it was a really cool Easter egg. But long story short, I love the animation and music in the show. I think they're both fantastic.
All right,
Valerie?
Valerie.
Okay. All right. So I'll start with the animation. I can't wait to talk about the music though. The animation was great, both human and monster scenes, and both 2D stuff with mostly Salanga or Sharanga. I didn't really notice the when he was coming down to destroy the calculator that he changed from 3D to 2D. I was just like, kind of like it didn't bother me and I didn't really notice it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was fine. And then I love like all the visuals, like the when they're on the boat with the singular point, like the red dust, like all you see the whole like circle and like the tornado kind of circle thing. Most of the animation is fluid, like when Sato and his boss are like at the bar or whatever, he like pours a drink of beer and then like he drinks it and then like you just see the beer like slowly like disappear and yeah. Music, I love the music. I love the lullaby, the Indian lullaby. How do you pronounce it?
Apalu Upala.
Opalo Upala.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is my new favorite song. Or, well, I wouldn't say my new favorite song, but like it's basically the new Shinzuo Sasageyo theme from Attack on Titan for me. Davis knows.
Yep.
I love the choir version, and the I didn't know they like changed it after. I didn't know there was a different rendition when Jet Jaguar defeated Godzilla. I didn't notice that, but all of them were great. I do like all the classic Ifukube stuff, and then the Ufukube stuff with the choir chanting very that reminded me a lot of King of the Monsters because there was a lot of that. I think it works for both films, or both. Both in King of the Monsters and in here. So I like that. What else? Oh yeah, the opening and ending songs are also both great. And yeah, I think that's it. So Nick.
All right, so I knew the animation was going to be great the moment I heard about the animation studios Bones and Orange, because like Andreas was mentioning earlier, it's like I knew Bones from stuff like My Hero and Soul Eater, the latter, which is one of my favorite anime. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome as always. And then Orange, who does Beastars, which is an anime I love as well. And yeah, they did not disappoint.
I'll mean interrupt, but Space Dandy also had a ton of Godzilla references in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the blending of 2D and 3D was pretty seamless. Like, I personally didn't find it distracting, really. I did admittedly notice that one shot. Like, I never noticed Jet Jaguar becoming 2D. I did notice Salunga being 2D. I thought that was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, though. Like, I thought that was, like, a funny thing of, like, oh, hey, I wonder why they did that. But, And, like I said, everything, like, it does a great job at, like, making the world feel big. Like, that there's just so much stuff going on outside of just where Godzilla is in Japan. And just when they travel all over from, like, Japan to wherever, and I don't know, it's so cool.
India.
They go from
India.
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 Japan. I wanted to say
then,
India, but I was like, I don't know why I wanted to say Brazil, but I knew that wasn't right.
There's a restaurant called Brazil.
Well,
in the show.
there's a reference
Okay.
to Brazil.
Okay.
In that
Okay.
restaurant, yeah.
Right, okay. My memory was just a little faulty there.
And
But
then
yeah, the
also
animation-
London they go to.
Mm,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's right. But yeah, animation was
Or no,
great.
wait, they go from. I'm sorry. They go from Japan to Dubai to London to India.
That's right, they do go to Dubai.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. There was the whole thing about how May was looking at the Burj Khalifa. Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, animation
Go
all
ahead.
around was great. Both 2D and 3D was great. The mixing between the two of them was also great. Music, I love the music so much. Like, great rendition of Godzilla's theme. Alapu Upala was a surprising, like, catchy song. Like, I did not expect that song to get like stuck in my head as much as I did.
I'm still singing
Yep.
it. So
Yep.
It's catchy, but it's also haunting.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
yeah.
like, if I walked into a house like that, like, there's kind of like a mansion in my hometown that's kind of considered like, yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
choir kicks in. I'm like, oh god, I'm terrified now.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely say like there's a mansion from like the 1700s in my hometown that's like a tourist attraction. Like, if I heard, and it's like, I think it's like partially considered to be like a slightly haunted location, but not that much. Regardless, if I heard that song in that house, I would start freaking out probably.
Song you hear before you know you're gonna die.
How
Yeah.
about that one moment in episode 12 when the choir version's playing, it zooms in on the red dust and then all you hear is Godzilla's roar.
I love that so much.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah.
But and the ending and opening songs were both absolutely fantastic. Like, In Case by Bish is really good. My personal favorite between the two, though, is probably the ending, Aoi by Polka Dot Stingray. That song is stuck in my head all the time. But they're both fantastic.
When you sing it, do the words get stuck in your throat?
A little bit.
Oh, birds get stuck in my throat.
Yeah. And yeah, but other than that, final thoughts on Singular Point for me personally. I loved it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I was excited from it really from the moment I first saw Godzilla. I was just like, oh, this already seems really cool. And I'm very happy with what they did. I love in general what the Reiwa era has been doing so far. I know that obviously there are some people out there who don't like Singular Point, don't like Shin Godzilla, and especially the anime trilogy. But regardless, I am very happy with the risk-taking and the different ideas that Toho is introducing. Like, I love the fact that really we only have those 3 iterations so far, but each of them are really a different story. Like, one's a political satire, one's like a hard sci-fi, and the other is like a mythological apocalyptic story. And I find that to be really cool. I love that creativity that they're bringing forward, and I hope they do more of that in the future. So Singular Point was great on its own, and it makes me even more excited for what's to come, whether it be in a season 2 for this show or any just new original Godzilla stuff in general.
Well said.
Yep.
All right, Jay.
All right. I did not care for the animation. I'm sorry.
Brady
listen,
thinks
the monster
it's
animation.
booty sauce.
No. It's not like. Okay, look, it's not the worst animation in the world. I just think it could have been better. Okay, they maybe the whole
What is
pandemic
better
had a
animation
minor
to you,
role.
Jay?
What?
What is better animation to you, Jay?
I'll get to that. Here's the thing. So even it pains me to say this because I hate the anime trilogy, but I think the anime trilogy's animation was better. That's how I feel.
Oh, no.
And I just feel like the animation here was a step backwards. It looked.
As webcam froze. Ha ha. You see the yeah. Karma, man.
You
Karma's a bitch.
You see?
That'll teach you for having an opinion.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, okay, back.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, there we go.
He's back.
There we go.
You're
Anyways.
wrong.
All right. So I keep getting interrupted. So the animation, I feel like the anime trilogy animation was better. It's just how I felt like. I feel like this was a step down as far as the quality of animation from the trilogy to Singular Point. So it didn't. Listen, I don't dislike the show. I just think the animation could have been better. Now the monster animation is a whole other level. That was great. The monster animation was fantastic. It was spectacular. But the only problem is it's just there's only so much monster action over the course of the 13 episodes. So we don't get a lot of that fantastic animation. The rest of the animation just I feel like could have been better. Now to answer Valerie's question from earlier, like I guess I've been spoiled. All right. I grew up with a lot of the Batman the animated series, a lot of these DC animated films. That's more my preference, the style of animation. It's just my personal preference. In fact, if anyone's seen the new Batman the Long Halloween, whew, that Archer style is badass. Just saying.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie yet, but that animation in that looks
yeah,
really
it's
good.
gorgeous. It really is. But anyway, I just feel like the animation could have been better. I just again, y'all overhyped it. It's not that good. The animation, the storytelling is great. Just the animation, not that good. Again, I have my criticism for it. All right, I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna jerk this series off. I have my criticisms.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Now the music.
This animation. Whoa, you're right, dude. For Long Halloween, I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
The music. All right, I'm 100% with Sean. Now the opening theme's okay. I don't really care for the closing theme. But those Ifukube with the choir, holy crap, man! That just added an extra punch that it needed. It was an extra punch that was needed, not just for the show, but for the music. Not just for the music, but for the show. It gave you the sense of danger of the apocalyptic danger that Godzilla is. So yeah, the music's bloody fantastic with those themes. And of course, you know the haunting music there. I like it. It's nice. It's pretty eerie. I like it. It comes in at the right time. But the music overall is good. But I really feel like it shines with the Ifukube adding the. I know it's not original, but when they added the choir, it's just something. There's something about it. It adds that. explanation point to it. And that's my overall feelings about that. Okay, go ahead, Davis.
All right, so I really dug the animation here. I mean, I thought it was just fine for this type of series. I thought it was handled very well. I thought all the kaiju were rendered beautifully. And also really dug the 2D animation. I mean, like Andres, I'm also a fan of 2D animation, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any problems with how it was animated. I mentioned that I love Space Dandy. That's one of my all-time favorite anime right there. So yeah, I was definitely interested in seeing what Bones had to bring to the table. And as for the music, I mean, y'all pretty much said it. It's great.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, so right now we're sitting at 3 hours and 20 minutes. Do you guys want to go ahead and wrap this up?
Yeah, sure.
All right,
Sure.
so we'll go ahead, work our way backwards, and share our final thoughts on Godzilla Singular Point, starting with you, Sean.
All right.
And on top of that, go ahead and plug your stuff too.
Oh, okay. Long story short, I love Godzilla Singular Point. I think it is a high point and one of the highlights of the franchise. I love the experimental nature of the Reiwa era as well. I just think that the execution has been a little hit or miss in terms of, product to product. That being said, Shin Godzilla and Godzilla Singular Point, in my opinion, do show a potentially bright future for the Reiwa era. And, I do hope that Toho keeps doing more experimental stuff with Godzilla. I hope we get a second season for Singular Point that expands upon everything that the first season did. But as it on its own, it's a great show. I love it. And, honestly, I'm probably going to rewatch it again at some point with the English dub. And in terms of stuff, I am the Shots of Japanese Cinema guy. Follow Shots of Japanese Cinema on Twitter. Also follow Shots of Japanese Television on Twitter if you are a fan of like tokusatsu shows and anime. So yeah, on Instagram and Facebook occasionally, but mainly active on Twitter. So give Shots of Japanese Cinema and Shots of Japanese Television a follow. And this was fun, Davis. I really enjoyed talking about this.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I apologize if I came off a little interrupting-esque at points. I really apologize.
I think we all get like that at
yeah.
least a little bit.
I guess I really
Yeah.
like this show, so I had a lot to say. So yeah.
All
Love
right,
the show.
Valerie.
Yeah. All right. So overall thoughts. Love the show. I think it's the best in the Reiwa era so far. For all my films of the Reiwa era Godzilla like movies, I guess would be SP, Shin, KOTM, 2014, GVK, anime movie 1, Planet of the Monsters, then 3, and then 2. For those, that's my thinking for the whole like Reiwa era or whatever. But yeah, I really love the show. Can't wait for season 2, hopefully. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at weeb_Valerie, and then on Instagram at content. Well, no, it's at X alternative content X, but whatever. But yeah, follow me on there.
All right, Nick.
All right. Well, I guess I technically already gave my final thoughts on Singular Point earlier, but just reiterating what I said. I love the show. Don't know if I'd say it's my favorite of the Reiwa era. I'd still say Shin Godzilla is my favorite, but SP is definitely a very, very close second. And I'm very happy with the experimental nature of the Reiwa era, and I hope they keep that going forward. I hope we get a season 2 of Singular Point. And yeah, if you want to follow me, and if you didn't find me annoying for some reason, you can You can find my channel at Sentinel Prime's Chin. Right now, I'm working on a new video. Should be a retrospective on Michael Bay's first Transformers movie. So,
Cool.
Oof.
yeah.
Alrighty.
And,
I'm looking
Alright.
forward to that.
I'll check that out, man.
yeah, and that should be coming out at the latest, not this Thursday, but the Thursday after. So, yeah, check out my channel, Sentinel Prime's Chin, if you're interested in seeing what that is. So,
Nick, can you put that in the private chat so I can sub you up, dude?
oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can't find. I just tried looking for you. I can't. So just
Yeah, okay, I'll put it. Okay.
Thank you, dude.
But, yeah, that's it for me.
All right, Jay.
Okay, so again, unpopular opinion here. I liked it. I didn't love it, and I blame people like Sean and SCRYE and a few others who just overhyped it. Well, I still
think he just hates anime.
Whoa! That was weird.
But no, I liked it. To me, I mean, we just fresh off our overall rankings, and again, I need to rewatch it, and I want to rewatch it. But if I'm ranking this, okay, it's obviously Shin's the best of the regular era, and SP would probably be my second because this is miles above the MonsterVerse, miles above the anime trilogy, and I would take SP over half the Millennium movies, all the '90s Heisei films, and so I'd rank it right in the middle. So this is like a B minus for me. This
Still
is
a passing
probably,
grade.
Yeah. So it's good. It's not great. I already addressed my problems, but the thing is, I really do understand the people who don't like it because this is. I wish Andres was still here. This is Davis. We talked about this. This is the most Japanese thing that Toho's ever done for Godzilla.
Oh yeah, it's such a culturally significant entry.
Yes.
Like,
So this
I would argue
series.
Shin. I would argue this and Shin
Yeah,
as well.
but I'm just saying, like, this it's not made for an American audience. Okay, wasn't made for America. It just wasn't. It was made for Japan, and they just happened to throw it on Netflix for the rest of the world later on. So obviously that's where So that's what I'm saying. It's so I understand why people who don't like it, and I'm not going to bother arguing with them. But I don't love it like how some of you guys are projecting it to be, because like I said, I addressed the problems where the animation was to me subpar. I didn't like some of the creative choices with Jet the voice of Jet Jaguar, other stuff like that, and of course the cutaways really bothered me. But overall, great characters, great story. I enjoyed it. Again, I feel like this is rewatchable. I will go back to it. I just think it's good, not great.
I don't know.
I'm trying to be as fair as possible.
All right.
Go ahead,
That's
Dave.
fine.
Plug your stuff, Jay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the wrong mic. So you can find me at Nerd Cage Live. We go live every Thursday night, and of course, we upload content as well. Davis, yours truly, along with my friend Kush from the channel at the Hub, will be appearing this Thursday, and we'll probably talk about everything Godzilla and everything else outside Godzilla as well. And I will be doing a giveaway too. So if you want to tune in, I'm going to be giving away a digital copy of Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. If you want to enter, send an email to nerdcagelive@outlook.com. Just send an email with your name in the subject line, and then I'm going to draw one random winner live Thursday, via spinning wheel, and I will email the code to that person, whoever wins. So if you want a free movie, and again, great action film, I really can't recommend it enough, and I'm happy to share it with everybody. And of course, if you get me to 500 subscribers, we're almost there, I will do a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway. So please sub up Nerd Cage Live. Like I said, I don't really do a lot of kaiju stuff, although me, Davis, and Sean did a really awesome look back at Daimajin. But it's mostly like nerd culture. Like we talk movies, comics, video games, and what have you. It's just nerd culture in general, pop culture talk, and this and that.
If you want to see a great example of what goes down on Nerd Cage Live, check out their previous episode where they had Anthony Marquez on for the second time on that show.
Anthony Marquez, Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat, was on our show last Thursday. Please check that out. and our latest content we uploaded. We did the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Check that out as well. And for all you audio junkies, we're also on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you find your podcast. We usually typically take the audio from our live shows and the audio from our content, and we throw them up on for podcasts too. So yeah, we're on podcast. We're on YouTube. Please sub up Nerdcage Live. It's youtube.com/Nerdcage Live. Davis has attributed quite a bit. He's appeared quite a bit. Sean has contributed to, and in fact, we're recording our Super Mario rankings next weekend. I cannot wait to get into that. What's that?
Yeah.
The games?
Yeah. We're ranking.
Yeah, nice.
We all have our top 10 Mario games, and we're going to debate and argue and place the top 10 Mario games, 3D and 2D. No spin-offs, no Mario Kart, no Mario Party. We're going to rank the mainline Mario games. Cole's really going to lose. Cole's probably going to lose it again, just saying.
I hope he does.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I begin to sprinkle in some gaming content there, but we're mostly do like movies, comics, and TV shows and whatnot. And again, it's oh yeah, one more thing. I'm sorry, Davis. We just our brand spanking new Nerd Cage Live discussion Facebook group is now live. Anybody can hop in and join. In fact, I'll put the link right here in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. Not only that we promote our stuff, but it gives everyone a chance to promote their stuff and their content. And of course, we have fun discussions there about what's your favorite crime movie. We always do fun stuff like that. So please join the Facebook group. I will post it right now. Boom. There it is. So yeah, anybody can join. It's a happy place for everybody. It doesn't matter. It's a fun hangout. And Davis, thank you so much for letting me be part of this TokuTitanCast. This was so much fun. I hope people don't hate me for my opinion of S Singular Point, but I really
He's an anime hater.
I don't.
No, not at all. I really did enjoy discussing this with you guys. And it's just fun. Please keep subbing up to Titan Goji and checking out the TokuTitanCast, because Davis is my dude and he's a strong supporter of Nerd Cage Live. But not just that, he's a great friend. And to me, you guys on screen are my friends too, and you people in the chat, you guys are my friends too. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Right back at you, man.
All right. So my thoughts on Godzilla Singular Point. Again, I absolutely love it. I'd say this was the Godzilla anime I've been waiting for, and I'm so happy we got it. I mean, I love everything about it. I wouldn't put it above Shin Godzilla. I do like Shin Godzilla more.
Same.
But it is a great series overall. And while promoting this episode of TokuTitanCast, I did say that there was going to be a special announcement. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys actually a couple of sneak peeks as to what's going to go down. So I'm going to drop.
I'm going to the gym. I'm going to buy that shirt. Go to the gym.
I am going to drop a couple of new TeePublic designs. This is Asaki Gem. You got Jet Jaguar's face on them. I got two versions, one with a barbell and one with two dumbbells. There's also going to be a white version of this logo. So I'm super looking forward to dropping this on my TeePublic. As for the other thing, I'm just gonna pull it up real quick. I know Jay's going to be really excited for this one.
I know.
Alrighty.
Oh, I'm giddy. I know.
Jay excited for something? Wow.
All right, you guys ready for this? Next weekend on TokuTitanCast is the Invasion of Astro Monster watch party.
You stinking rats!
No, it isn't.
The Invasion of Astro Monster watch party going down on July 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be using the version on HBO Max. And and while it's not 100% confirmed, I am trying to get a special guest on here for this particular watch party.
Ooh.
And so yeah, I'm I'm quite looking forward to that.
I don't have
So,
HBO Max, so I'll just use the what is it?
Criterion,
Cri-
Criterion
no.
version.
Yeah, I think it's the Japanese version that's on HBO Max, right?
yeah,
Mm.
because
I don't-
the Criterion doesn't have the English dub, just the Japanese version.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
I don't have the Criterion version.
Nick
I have
Adams,
the,
come-
But you have the DVD, right? The classic media DVD, right?
yes, that one. That's
Yeah.
what I have.
That could
Yeah,
work too.
that has it. So
anyway, I'm gonna put this up. Thank you guys very much
Hey!
Hey!
Yay!
as we'll say, thank you guys so much for tuning into this newest edition of TokuTitanCast. Hope you guys enjoyed us rambling about Godzilla Singular Point. Hope you guys check it out on Netflix, and also subscribe to the channel if you feel like it, and feel free to support the channel on Patreon and TeePublic, because for some ungodly reason, YouTube likes to take 30% of super chats. So if you guys are planning on contributing to the channel further, I suggest supporting the Patreon as a means to just help out, really. But anyway, you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Titan Goji as well.
Kendo fight for right.
They like to take money
And
because they're a corporation.
Hashtag dump trunk Godzilla, Godzilla dump
Yes.
truck.
Yeah.
Yep. Hashtag dump truck Godzilla.
Dump truck
anyway,
Godzilla.
anyway, take care, guys.
you guys are awesome. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.